Somewhere beyond the recesses of time and space, two podcasters are set adrift in a machine, picking up transmissions of movies that are forgotten but not gone.
Welcome to Movie Memory Machine, the only podcast about forgotten movies that prefers to sit down than run down. I am your host, Landon Solano, joined always by my co-host, Truman Caps. Truman, it's good to see you.
Landon, it rocks to be seen. Sometimes you're thinking, what's a clever thing I'm going to say, and then you realize that the good Lord has provided.
Truman, I'm going to give you option A or option B.
This is great. I've had a lot of training recently on how to respond under these circumstances. What's option A?
Option A, tell me about how you feel about action comedies.
Okay, and option B?
I make you.
All right, you know what? Let's take option B. Like every character in this movie, I'm going to totally misread the stakes of the situation. You got a little lightning, you got a little thunder, a little bit of lightning, a little bit of thunder. Listeners, I'm waving a different hand when I say lightning versus thunder, so it's kind of suggesting that I'm going to punch him with different meteorological effects. I feel good about action comedies because I am a little boy who grew up playing first-person shooters, and I also like comedy and wisecracking jokes and bits. So the action comedy promises to me the ability to both laugh and see violence, and that has been catnip for me since I was 6 years old.
Well, let me ask you a more specific question.
Okay.
And I'm going to pick another rock movie out of the ether here.
Out of the quarry, so to speak.
Post. Mm-hmm. The Other Guys. How do you feel about action comedies?
Wow. Is this your way of getting me to say that there haven't been action comedies since The Other Guys, a movie that I loved?
A movie like The Rundown has a bit of conversation necessary to it that I need to set the stage for a little bit. And I'm trying to get an understanding of where the transition and what the transition was from what this film is trying to harken back to what films actually are now.
You know, I'm thinking there was the movie Nice Guys, Ryan Gosling in it, and Russell Crowe. Yeah, so it's the 70s. We're laughing, we're punching, we're shooting. I mean, I'm just looking now. I mean, Novocaine came out this year. George Clooney and Brad Pitt were in a movie called Wolves that my dad liked. There's The Fall Guy, more guy movies. Keanu, we remember Keanu, the cat movie with Key and Peele.
We do, yes, kind of.
Red, a movie that I think is execrable, but again, my dad likes quite a lot. I mean, Tropic Thunder also was sort of a major.
Okay.
You know, that's about contemporaneous with The Other Guys. I don't know. I mean, I think that the thing is still out there. Freelance, Jackpot. What the fuck are these? Well, MacGruber certainly. And Red Notice, and who could forget Red Notice? We're shooting, we're laughing, and we're all remembering exactly what happened in that movie.
Well, I mean, it's not that you didn't mention, memorable films in that little slate there, but you compare that to the 80s and 90s, where it's like, you can't even begin to list them all.
Mm-hmm.
Every year, every summer, there's just an endless supply of Van Dammes and Willises and Stallones and Schwarzeneggers, and who am I forgetting? I'm forgetting a big one.
Dennis Rodman from The Last Boy Scout. His film career totally took off. I mean, Jay Leno was in that Collision Course movie. He became a huge, action comedy guy, right?
Wow. Sorry, you threw me so far off the trail on that one.
That's how the worm operates. You can't defend against him.
Now you have me so thrown that you're making a basketball reference. Who are you?
Okay, I know about sports when it intersects with movies. I would ask my parents, who's that guy with the weird colored hair on the cover of this Bruce Willis movie? And they're like, he's a basketball player. And I'd be like, oh, sorry I asked. Move on, please. Welcome to Movie Memory Machine Correction Corner. I'm your host, Truman Caps, popping in with a quick correction for your host, Truman Caps, in this episode. I was talking about Dennis Rodman being in the movie The Last Boy Scout. Turns out that was actually Damon Wayans in The Last Boy Scout. I was mixing up The Last Boy Scout with a different movie, the movie Double Team, starring Jean-Claude Van Damme, Dennis Rodman, and Mickey Rourke. What a fun set that must have been. So, okay, that was a mistake, that's on me, but there was indeed a Dennis Rodman action movie, so I wasn't totally wrong about this. Also, I think if you put the cover for Double Team up next to the cover for The Last Boy Scout, you'll notice a lot of graphic design similarities. I'm just, once again, trying to defend myself. This was a very innocent mistake. I think they were even next to each other in the video store. Anyway, thank you for listening to this episode of Movie Memory Machine Correction Corner. We now return you to the podcast already in progress.
Oh my lord. This movie, I think, is trying to harken back, and we'll get to a very specific point right smack at the beginning of this film.
Oh, yes.
That is, I think, trying to bring forth the muscle-bound action hero of the 80s and 90s that doesn't exist nowadays, really.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got the Marvel machine, and you know they're the ones that are building out that muscle thing, but like not the Schwarzeneggers, not the Stallones, right? Now they're all like they have to be built and athletic, and you know they have to be able to run up a wall. Stallone wasn't running up walls.
He was running.
Stallone
through
wasn't
them.
Running and catching someone's head between his thighs and doing a half flip and throwing him against a wall. He was barely moving. Seagal was the other one I was trying to think of.
Seagal. Now maybe,
and you know what? It was the barely moving that got me to think of it.
very, very stationary heroes, the immovable objects, if you will. So do you think that some of that has something to do with wrestling? Because the movie that we watched today was, of course, produced by Vince McMahon and stars a guy who at the time was mainly known for wrestling. Do you think it's that wrestling in recent years has become a bit more flippy-floppy and a less brute forcey?
Yeah.
And that has maybe influenced the kind of stuff that we're seeing our tough guys do in movies now?
Well, there's another point in this that I think that discussion comes into play, so I'm going to earmark it for later. But let's bring people into what we're discussing today.
For how much we hate when there is a 10-second pre-roll at the beginning of a trailer, we really love to have a little bit of a discussion and go, well, we're going to talk about that later. We'll talk about that later, too, and that later. But first, the synopsis.
Listen, I feel very supported when you said we, because I know that's entirely me that does that.
No, man, it's... Without your hand on the dead man's switch, I would just blow all of my best bits in the first 10 minutes, and then we'd get even higher drop-off rates than we currently have.
All right, well, today the machine has made us watch The Rundown from 2003. Truman, hitch a ride on a biplane, look at the treasure map, and guide us to the cave of a synopsis.
Gun-hating retrieval expert Beck, played by Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, takes one last job from crime lord Billy Walker, played by William Lucking. Travel to the mining town of El Dorado in the depths of the Amazon rainforest and bring back Walker's motor-mouthed wannabe treasure hunter son Travis, played by Sean William Scott, who's gone there in pursuit of a priceless golden artifact known only as the Gato. Beck goes to the jungle, finds Travis, and cuffs him for the long trip back, but runs afoul of Cornelius Hatcher, played by Christopher Walken, the evil owner of the local mine who has enslaved the residents of the jungle to dig for him. Even though they can't stand each other, Beck and Travis must work together to escape through the jungle, with a little help from a band of rebel freedom fighters led by the beautiful and capable Mariana, played by Rosario Dawson.
I regret doing that noise. Could there ever be a buddy comedy where they fall in love right away?
Like, just first few minutes, it's just like...
Yeah.
It's like the movie Step Brothers, where just they're rivals and then suddenly they become very intense friends, but that's just like the first few minutes of the movie.
Yeah, just take out the rival part altogether. Just, I want to see the second thing. I want to see love at first sight.
Well, like, can we start modeling positive male friendships on screen where two men can realize their affection for each other without having to be RFing one another for the first, 95% of the movie?
Or calling them douchebag when they just want to say, hey, man, I really care for you.
Yeah. I mean, at least, like, put a comforting hand on their shoulder when you call them a douchebag. That's the way real bros do it.
Okay, well, where do we start with this? Do we want to run down
Rundown?
You did the cast. Let's just do a little bit of the crew, because I think we're going to be talking about the director of this film quite a bit in our discussion.
Yes.
This is directed by Peter Berg, written by R.J. Stewart and James Vanderbilt.
Mm-hmm. James Vanderbilt, worth noting, is the guy who wrote Zodiac, as well as, maybe less notably, The House with a Clock in Its Walls. But if you enjoyed Zodiac, you can thank James Vanderbilt in part for that.
The repairing of Jack Black and Kate Blanchett's in that movie, isn't she?
Yeah, I don't really know who's in that movie. I assume there's a clock in it, and I can take some guesses about where the clock has been placed, but that's about all.
That was Eli Roth's step into family-friendly territory, and it didn't work well.
Oh, really? All the parents didn't trust the cabin fever guy with their kids? Do you think there was a clock in the wall of the cabin from Cabin Fever? Is that what went wrong with it? Is that how the fever got in?
I got a fever, and there's only one. Is it too early for completely worn out Christopher Walken jokes since Christopher Walken's in this movie?
Didn't even really finish it, is what I love. You kind of you gave us a taste. It's an IKEA Walken impression.
You know what it is, yeah.
Yeah, you get it. You've been around an insufferable guy before.
I do want to mention not all of the producers, but a producer, an executive producer, Mr. Vince McMahon.
Oh.
That's right. Mr. McMahon is one of the producers on this.
Yep. I mean, which when I saw it in the credits at first, it was like, what? And then I thought, actually, no, this makes kind of perfect sense that he would be here.
He's like Lorne Michaels, just with wrestlers. Like anything that SNL alumni go on to do in their early years of their career post SNL, I feel like Lorne Michaels has a hand, at least executive producing their involvement in it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's kind of a selling your soul to Lorne sort of thing. The same thing happens with Vince McMahon. Yeah,
in a very similar way. The way people talk about both of those figures is very cult-like, and it is very disconcerting to me.
And maybe this is reflective of Vince McMahon's influence on American culture, but as soon as you posited that, yes, both of them are kind of titans of their field, I'm like, well, I gotta watch them fight now. Gotta see who would win. I think I
hate to say, McMahon would win.
Vince McMahon would win. We're not betting on the 80-year-old Canadian dork in that fight.
Yeah, so that we can talk a little bit about some of the other crew here. I think the director of photography may be worth a mention.
Yeah.
Tobias A. Schleicher, and maybe to a degree the production designer Tom Duffield, because they do what they can. Okay, actually, let's go into some specs, because I got a thing or two to say about this.
Yeah, well, and we should also, I'm sorry, I'm just trying to look and find the name of the fight choreographer, but we definitely should also shout that person out. Andy Chang, the fight coordinator and stunt coordinator. That's a guy whose name we should say out loud, and I will probably say again. Continue, please.
Okay, all right, well, and we'll say it in coordination with Eddie Reyes Jr., who's in this movie. But let's talk about box office a little bit, because it's gonna reflect what I have to say about the production design, I think.
Mm-hmm.
This movie was released on September 26th, 2003 by Universal Pictures. Production budget, $85 million in 2003.
Yep.
$85 million in 2003. I just wanted to repeat that.
Yep, you said it twice. $85 million in 2003.
Now, I'm going to go into this more, not in the future of this episode, right after this section. So I'm not trying to preview it too far ahead of time here.
Great.
But it plays into the speculative marketing budget that we've been trying to calculate. This film is the first concerted effort to make The Rock a leading star.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Universal looked at him as a viable property. Therefore, I think gave this more of a marketing push than they would of another film of its ilk.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna put this on the kind of higher end of the marketing budget speculation and say it was maybe $40 to $45 million.
Seems smart. Yeah, I'll buy that.
That brings us up to about $130 million budget with the production and marketing together.
Sure. Back the envelope, but yeah, that seems like a fair guess.
So then, do you want to? And I have another thing to say about something that plays into the marketing budget. But before I do that, do you want to guess how many theaters this was released into?
Oh, man. Well, then probably the largest amount they could. Close to 3,000? Up? More than 3,000? 3,300?
A little bit less. 3,152.
Wow. Okay. Well, they bet big on The Rock.
Yeah, they
which
did.
Is a wise bet to make, I'd say.
And I think it's kind of rare to get a 3,000, like, to get a 3,000 screening film in 2003. Like, it makes more sense in 2020 when there are just more theaters. But in 2003, I think, like, you're betting on all of America at that point.
That's true, but I mean, they're looking at someone who clearly, I mean, they'd been focus testing The Rock with all of America for years in the ring, so they already knew it was an educated bet.
You segued me perfectly, because the other part of this marketing push and why I think it's on the higher end of the marketing budget that we just don't know because they don't release that, is Universal held sneak previews at 700 locations before this was released. Just to try to generate word of mouth.
700 locations. Wow, so that's not just select theaters in Orange County and stuff. That's like basically most of the country you could get a sneak early peek of the rundown. Wow.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
700. That's like almost a third of its, actual theatrical release.
Yeah. You could live in Wyoming and conceivably, if you were willing to drive an hour to the nearest town, you could see the rundown before its release date.
Yeah.
Lucky you.
But do you want to know what it was up against?
You know what? I looked at this out of some mild interest, but I don't remember all the names. So go through and tell me.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure I remember number 2, though.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll just go through the top 5.
Mm-hmm.
And let's just keep in mind that okay, let me ask you this: do you think the 3,100 theater gambit is going to pay off for them in terms of placement in the top 10?
I'm gonna say yes.
Okay, you are correct. It comes in at number 1, The Rundown, in its first week. In its opening weekend, makes $18.5 million. The second movie, man, I realize with each episode we do, I sound older and older, and I realize how old I sound when I'm about to say what I'm about to say.
You also are older and older in each episode, what with the linear progression of time.
And the thing is, when I listen to this episode later, I'll be even older than I am now.
And you're gonna be like, my pants were so low. Why didn't I pull up my pants back then? What an irresponsible child.
Remember the time when you could ostensibly go to the theater and number 1 and number 2 would be so vastly different?
Mm-hmm.
So, coming in at number 2, in its first week, Under the Tuscan Sun.
Mamma mia, that's a pleasant meatball. That was that kind of coasting off of like, is Mona Lisa Smile set in Italy, or is that about a different thing?
Completely different thing.
Okay, well, the Mona Lisa... Okay, I don't know, man. I don't know. Okay, I just...
Mona Lisa Smile is about... What if Julia Roberts taught feminism to a bunch of Harvard girls?
Wow, man. Well, okay, but that was... Okay, so the movies have nothing to do with each other, but Mona Lisa Smile probably also was, like, number 2 at the box office to some ripshit action movie.
Okay.
So that...
I got you. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, okay. So, all right. So, Under the Tuscan Sun is at number 2. That's pleasant. That's very fun.
Yeah. Okay, then to really set the time and place, we have coming in at number 3 in its second week, Underworld.
Industrial music soundtrack. That's my big takeaway. The people on the message boards in 2003 were talking a lot about industrial music.
And not Kate Beckinsale in a skin-tight leather suit.
You know what? Maybe it was some kind of straight edge thing where they weren't even horny. They were only horny for industrial.
Okay. And then coming in at number 5 in its second week. I'm sorry, I skipped number 4. Number 4, a very forgotten film, Secondhand Lions.
Oh man, that's what if Michael Caine was American, and what if Haley Joel Osment was a teenager? Yeah.
What if Michael Caine and Robert Duvall weren't at all in a secret relationship on a farm in Texas, and Haley Joel Osment went and stayed with them for the summer?
Sounds like an awesome time. Honestly, purely aspirational filmmaking.
And then coming in at number 5 in its second week is The Fighting Temptations. Is.
Oh man, I definitely know that name. I feel like that was a Netflix sleeve on the TV that my parents watched while I was playing Counter-Strike.
It is a Cuba Gooding Jr. and Beyonce Knowles movie.
Oh, Beyonce Knowles. Whatever happened to her? Is that the same Beyonce Knowles from Austin Powers 3 Goldmember?
We'll never Knowles.
So
So
fucking dumb.
with that, what do you think it does box office wise? So let's just run down the specs. It comes in number 1, makes $18.5 million in its first weekend. It has an $85 million production budget and a $45 million speculative marketing budget. It has a 700 theater word of mouth sneak peek weekend before it comes out. Does that translate into box office juggernaut?
I mean, I wish I could say that I didn't already know the answer to this, but no, it does not. It is not a box office bomb per se, but it does not make money.
I would say it's a bomb.
Well,
When you factor in marketing,
okay.
it becomes a bomb.
Yeah.
Because domestically, it makes $47.7 million. That's half its production budget. You at least want to make your production budget domestically.
Yeah, I've heard this.
Internationally, it makes 32.9 for a total worldwide box office of 80.6.
Yeah.
Which is $9 million less than the production budget.
Yeah.
And considerably less, about $40 million less than what you've spent on it in total. Have you seen this before?
No,
How much did you know about the rundown?
I'd never seen this before. I received negative word of mouth about this movie. I don't know if this is someone who saw a preview screening, but on the V Bulletin message boards I was on at the time, writing video game fan fiction, and someone posted, "The Rundown is the dumbest movie I've ever seen," and I thought, oh shit, that movie that I've seen trailers for with slow motion dual wielding bullwhips might actually be bad. Fuck that then. And so I never saw it.
I'm very curious how the end of that journey of yours is going to end. Now that you've seen it, whether or not that person was right. It's the first time this season I think I've said this. I saw this in the theater, owned this on DVD.
Wow. Now, owned it on DVD and watched it on DVD?
I mean, that's a different conversation. I was just into owning any film that I found mildly entertaining when I saw it in the theater.
Okay.
And I probably did watch it when I first got it, and then it just went into my obsessively collected physical media.
I mean, well, okay, so that's still, you found it mildly entertaining in the theater. What was it? How was the theater experience? Was it full? Were people hooting? Were they hollering?
I mean, I think it was probably reflective of the box office. I don't have a memory of it being full. People weren't hooting and hollering, to use your terms. But I think I went with a friend to see this, and we had a good time with it. And I think he latched onto it a little bit more than I did, but I was really up on Sean William Scott at the time. So it was more him getting me into this than The Rock.
Was the theater next door playing Under the Tuscan Sun, and every so often you just hear like a rumbling through the walls as like she has some new fun experience in Italy, or like meets a charming older man?
No, we're in the theater that's going, fuck that other theater. We're gonna be the one rumbling.
She's trying to have a good. Is that who is the woman who is under the Tuscan Sun? I've forgotten which actress this is.
Diane Lane.
Is Diane Lane having some romantic experience, and then like the rap from the end of the movie of the rundown is just vibrating the walls?
Yes. Dwayne Johnson bursts through the side of the theater with his big bicep in slow motion.
Just starts punching columns out of the Tuscan villa that she's trying to relax in. See, the dichotomy between The Rundown and Under the Tuscan Sun, that really mirrors the theme of the movie, where The Rock's character Beck is always offering people option A or option B. Option A is Under the Tuscan Sun. Everything's easy and fun. We're having a nice time. Option B is the events of the movie The Rundown. You get punched.
Yes. And just like in the text of The Rundown, you usually should probably choose option A.
Yeah, no, a much better idea. And any wise person where The Rock is basically coming up to you and very politely saying, hey, I can keep being nice and smiling at you, or I, The Rock in 2003, can be mean to you. And everyone's like, you know what? I'll have you be mean to me, The Rock.
Wait a minute. Would you rather The Rock in 2003 give you 2 options, or The Rock in 2025 give you 2 options?
I'm going to be honest. I don't have much that I want to say to The Rock in 2025. Seems like a nice man. But like the Rock in in this movie, oh my god, dude, he's so good in this. He's magnetic. He is a cold beer on a hot muggy day. He is just so good.
Interesting.
He is smiling and oozing charisma in every frame.
Interesting. Okay. I guess we'll get into that in a bit.
But we don't have to keep teasing stuff. We can actually just start doing the podcast now. We've gone through all of our things.
When do we start recording?
Okay, let's just get a clap and then it will go.
Very good. Here's what I want to maybe start this conversation with.
Okay.
Kind of cycling back to the box office and cycling back to the crew, the direction, the production design, etc. The production design of this. Let me ask you a question. That's better podcasting.
Yeah, no, but stop halfway through the first thing and then change and start doing the second thing.
That's my brand. Does this feel like an $89 million movie to you?
I'm gonna say yes. Actually, it does.
Really? Okay. Tell me why.
Because of the quality of the fight scenes and the quality of the camera work. And and also the fact that, you know, you can say what you will about the locations, and it's like, yes, it seems like a generic kind of jungle small town thing, but they're on physical sets, they're breaking shit apart, they're running an actual cattle stampede through a set, they are, there's some green screen, but there's not a lot. There seems to be a fair amount of practical effects going on, stunt people getting yanked around on cords and flipped upside down. Like, it's not the sort of movie where you necessarily look at it and think, oh, holy shit, that's $89 million. But when you look at it through this lens of kind of knowing what it costs to make a movie and knowing what it costs to make a movie where things look a certain way or where things are done practically most of the time, yeah, this looks like $89 million to me.
Truman, I hate to continue a trend this season of us, for the first time in our 8-year relationship podcasting, being in such disagreement.
Yeah.
We disagree and we are in disagreement.
Yeah.
Looking back at the most low-budget, Canon-produced 80s action films are, I think, better directed on a shoestring budget and have better action sequences with breakable things and are all practical that you do for $1 million rather than $89 million.
Okay, I mean, counterpoint. I have a sore throat at the moment.
Yeah.
Largely because when I watched this movie, I was honking like a goose from start to finish. This, I think, might be one of the absolute best movies we've ever done. Probably a close second to The Mexican. This movie energized me so much that after it was done, I was ready to run through a fucking brick wall. And writing more notes about it the other day, guys, I actually got a little bit emotional thinking about The Rundown 2003 starring Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
Wow.
So we're coming at this from wildly different perspectives, and you know what?
Yes,
it's like wrestling.
Here's the thing. I'm not gonna boat boys this episode. Like, at the end of the day, I don't really care about this movie. And the biggest revelation I had while watching it was I've never realized it before, maybe because I've never thought about it for more than 2 seconds, but I don't think there's one person's career I could be less invested in than The Rock's.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I just don't care about what he does, ever.
I don't care about what he does now. I mean, now he's been so brain poisoned by the pressures of 2 decades of global fame in the 21st century that he's become... he's lost the kind of riz that he had when he was just an enterprising young wrestler who thought he was going to try and break into the movies. So, I don't have any stake in the man today, but seeing him in this movie everything he's in now, it's like part of a franchise, and it's part of a social media cross
the Rock
promotion.
franchise.
Yeah, well, yeah, like literally the show on NBC, Young Rock, which lasted for 2 seasons, and the premise of Young Rock is that in 2032, The Rock is running for president and is being interviewed about his life, and every episode is presidential candidate The Rock flashing back to a different time in his life when another actor plays Young Rock.
Are you gaslighting me right now?
No, Landon. TV memory machine. It's the podcast isn't a thing, but it should be, because that was on network primetime TV for 2 years recently.
What?
The Rock now is so much a brand that it just I don't care. It washes over me. I don't really know. But in this, it's just I don't know. I feel like I'm seeing a different side of him, and I can't really put my finger on how.
Okay.
There was a scene early on in this movie. He is walking into a nightclub in the first 2 minutes of the movie, this exclusive Hollywood nightclub, because he needs to get some money from a guy, and Arnold Schwarzenegger walks past him going the opposite direction and just goes, "Have fun," and walks out. And there's all this writing about how, like, Schwarzenegger was on set that day, they wrote the thing in. Yeah. And it's meant to be kind of a symbolic passing of the torch between this one old action hero to this new up-and-coming action hero. And that's a whole separate thing that I think about it, and I find myself getting slightly emotional because it's kicking off this movie that I loved so much.
I will admit that is one thing that has stuck with me since watching it in the theater. And I remember having that moment in the theater going, oh, shit, okay, so I got to start paying attention to this Rock guy. If Arnie is telling me that, he's the next thing and giving his blessing, then clearly he's the next thing. I don't think he really became the Rock's fame. I'm not saying it didn't reach Schwarzenegger heights. It's just it took a different track than him.
Yeah, absolutely, because I think fame took a different track. I mean, in the time that he has been on the main scene as opposed to the 80s into the 90s.
And yet Schwarzenegger got closer to being president than The Rock ever will.
Oh, man. Sadly, no young Schwarzenegger show. At least not yet.
Not yet. I would watch it, maybe.
Yeah, I know. Honestly, okay, look. Yeah, that's the thing. I don't care about The Rock at all now. I care more about Arnold Schwarzenegger now because he does not care. He is just having the best time making little weightlifting videos and playing with his goats or whatever, his mini horses on his ranch in NorCal.
Sometimes in his kitchen. Here's the questions, though, I want to just kind of circle back to. So I'm not going to, come at this super hard and criticize it, really, but I just found this movie kind of obnoxious. That said,
a movie... I'm sorry, you're saying a movie produced by Vince McMahon was slightly obnoxious? Interesting. Interesting. And Sean William Scott in the movie, you say? Interesting.
Here's the research I did, and I want to ask the question of, this is a movie very much trying to make The Rock the next thing.
Yeah.
Right? He was the Scorpion King shortly before this. Not the Scorpion King movie, but the Scorpion King in The Mummy Returns.
Yeah.
TBD on the actual Scorpion King coming out after this movie. I did a bunch of research. This is what I'm bringing to today's episode.
Great.
Earlier this year, I said that I would be researching a lot of specific things by the end of this season. And this is where it's starting to take me.
Okay.
I want to know, how does the Hollywood industry start to make a star?
Yeah.
When they decide they've picked someone, what does that look like? What's the mechanics of that? And how does The Rundown come to be a film in which they're throwing money into making him the thing? And so I've done a lot of research on that, and I want to ask you another question about Peter Berg as director, who was a controversial choice, kind of.
Yeah.
Unusual choice.
Yeah, unusual, definitely.
And hinging this on The Rock becoming a thing, and then it losing a lot of money. How do both of those guys still go on to become incredibly successful?
Well, look, it's one thing how The Rock goes on to be incredibly successful, just because it's like, this is a guy who's sort of an established presence. He is showing some kind of ability to cross over into movies. Even if he's not going to launch in a movie like this, I mean, it's just clear that this guy can work. It's like, and it's just maybe the movie didn't launch him the right way. So I think that people are going to be inclined to take a lot of chances on The Rock, especially when someone like Vince McMahon has put a lot of money behind him, has a lot of money, has a certain amount of juice with the entertainment industry. As for how director Peter Berg, who before this movie had only made one other movie, which is a black indie comedy-ish called Very Bad Things, which I've not seen. I know that Roger Ebert aggressively hated it. It's just a
bad movie.
It's a nasty movie that is, again, kind of coasting in the wake of Pulp Fiction and stuff like that. Yeah. They went from, like, here's this low-budget crime comedy movie to go to the jungle and make this very complex action movie, like logistically and technically complex. Plot-wise, incredibly simple. Yes. I don't know how he got that, and I don't know how he then came back from that not working.
More than that, though, they were banking on Peter Berg's style. Like, he somehow sold them on, I have a unique approach to action, which is I don't fully understand because he didn't delve into much action before this. Mm-hmm. And so, like, to give him the reins of a movie that I think is, I think Peter Berg is a really good producer. I think he's conceptually, he can throw a sequence together, like an idea of the sequence together well. The direction of the execution of those ideas is just the worst to me. The opening nightclub sequence when The Rock Beck has to fight a team of football players essentially who haven't paid up on their gambling debts.
It's a cool idea, cool concept.
It's done with strobe lights and 1,000 cuts and tons of movement, and I'm like, I can't see what's happening 90% of the time. And you have someone like The Rock who, like Jackie Chan, is someone who can move with his whole body. Mm-hmm. Like, if you'll allow me a really, really strained comparison, a really snooty one.
Yeah.
Fred Astaire, when he was when he was being directed by others, requested, I want single takes and I want you to frame me from head to toe. Mm-hmm. I am giving you my body and these dance moves. I am putting everything I have into this. Let me do it and let the audiences see that there's no trickery. Here, it's like, it doesn't matter that it's the fucking Rock. You are cutting it up so much. You are editing it such a breakneck speed and putting in so many different shots just to make a punch land that, like, I don't feel like they're using the Rock's strengths for the benefit of the film.
I mean, I would say in every subsequent fight scene they are. In many of the other fight scenes, I was really impressed at how long the takes were and how many... Like, there's a fight scene in the middle of the jungle where he's fighting a bunch of little capoeira guys, and there's beautiful camera work in there where he is, like, kicked up into the air, the camera tracks with him in slow motion, and then somebody swinging in on a vine like Tarzan kicks him in the side, and he flies out of frame, and you've got The Rock's face in frame the entire time. There's a lot of...
that's fair.
There's a lot of showcasing of his ability to move and his kind of natural dexterity in other scenes that are in full light and full shots.
Well, yes. I mean, I will give it that. He throws his body on the line, and you do see his face in so many of the stunts. I think the practical stunt work in this, I almost never have any complaints about stunts. Like, the stunt people are just so unheralded in Hollywood.
Amazing. Amazing.
But that scene you're referring to as well is also kind of chopped up, and by necessity, because they're doing a lot of wire work there, which is a fun idea. You know, I think, how do you emphasize the kind of dynamic performance of The Rock, and it's, you go to wire work. Yeah. Like, you want to make him a superhero so he can throw someone 100 yards. Mm-hmm. You need wire work to do that, or you need CGI. But in order for it to edit together, you have to, like, do a shot of him grabbing someone's legs, and then another mid shot of him swinging him around, and then another shot of the actual guy on the wire flying through the air. And it's like, it does just become a stylistic choice that I think is the wrong move, personally.
I mean, I just feel like, compared to the just trash that we see these days, like just how I mean, and look, maybe part of why I'm responding so enthusiastically to this movie is that I've watched a lot of shitty action movies both in the past few years and for this show, but you compare any fight scene in this to a fight scene in either of the Guy Ritchie movies we've watched, you know, or even some of the fights in Sahara, it's like there's just a real kind of attention to detail and like clarity of purpose and enthusiasm for, hey, isn't it going to be fun to watch the actor get launched through the air full face right towards the camera with like branches crashing off of him and he's screaming? Like, that's spectacle. It's movies.
Absolutely. I have no problem with that part of it. I think it's just it's how it's executed in terms of the direction and editing, but also I think in terms of the type of fighting is diegetic to The Rock, because that's what he can bring to it. I don't believe for a second that Beck, this collector, can stand from his 6'4" frame, just completely standing still, to jumping in the air, grabbing someone by the ears with his feet, and then flipping him over. Like, I believe The Rock can do that. I don't believe Beck the collector can do that.
Okay, here's where we divide. I think this is the issue.
Okay.
When my friend on the internet said The Rundown is the dumbest movie ever in 2003, he was not necessarily wrong. This movie, produced by Vince McMahon, starring a professional wrestler, is quite dumb. Now, the dumb movie knows that it's dumb. It is leaning into its dumbness, and it also it recognizes the basic human desire to watch a big, simple, dumb movie where big dudes punch through things and do flippy kicks and stuff, and it does that, and it still presents you with some stuff you can hold on to. It presents you with some themes, some semblance of character arcs for the main characters in it. It presents you with dialogue and performances, and there are so many movies now that are dumb and are just, hey, here's a couple, generic shootouts that look like something I did playing Call of Duty, and, and here's Jason Statham who's going to say something about fancy wine, and, I don't know, he kisses a girl, I don't know, movie's over. Like,
yeah. No argument there.
So I don't know. I think that dumb movies are important, and I think that when a movie can be dumb without being ashamed of it and recognize that a dumb movie can still be clever in the way that it's presented, that's great. More of this, please.
Well, I have some other things that we can discuss about what does or does not work about this as we go along here, but let's just talk real quick about the launching pad for The Rock. And how this, Hollywood industry was kind of making that happen.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think where we can go next is talking about the, Hollywood wanting to recapture the Stallone and Schwarzenegger era of big, huge blockbuster action films, because they were kind of in decline. No one says it outright, but I do think 2001, September 11th, kind of had a big play on that.
Yeah.
But you look at James Bond was a cartoon character at this point in time with Die Another Day, and
true.
Jason Bourne. The Bourne films were they're like thinkers. They were thinking action films.
Jason Bourne is not, he's certainly in good shape, but he's not like a physically powerful muscle dude. He is using the environment and cleverness and little MacGyver-y tools to get through.
Now, I'm not trying to give Hollywood too much credit, but I do think they see The Rock as a performer on WWE, and they're like, okay, we need the launching pad now, and we can invest in him now, because 1 or 2 movies from now, maybe The Scorpion King, he can sell us action figures.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And so I think that they were really trying to make a concerted effort to bring back the muscle action film with him. And, they put their chips on Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Because the questions I had going into this was like, who started this movie? Was it The Rock's people? Was it McMahon? Was it the studios? Was it Peter Berg? And it seems like it started with the studios.
Yeah, it is kind of refreshing how this movie is not anything. You know, it's not a book. It's not a video game adaptation. It's not a comic book. Again, a kind of a relic of a simpler time. It was just... It seems as though maybe this was a spec script floating around written by a writer named R.J. Stewart, who did a lot of work on Xena Warrior Princess. And then it like, I don't know, it seems like the likely thing was then they brought in James Vanderbilt to kind of polish it up for The Rock.
Yeah.
And then they just ran with it. And you know, let's grab the very bad things guy and stick The Rock in there and see what we get.
So the other kind of like part of this experiment of bringing The Rock to the fruition, I think, is Peter Berg. Like, Peter Berg is also trying to like bring his own chops out, but I think he is seeing the assignment for what it is, which is, this is a launching pad. How do I use my style or develop a style for this film that can highlight him in the best way possible? And his pitch for doing this was like, I think he used They Live as an explanation for how he wanted to approach the fight scenes.
Yes, what I read was that he said, you know, when he was offered this movie, he got a DVD of like just the 50 greatest fight scenes, some compilation DVD, and he's going through watching them, and the one that really stuck with him was the They Live 6-minute long alley fight scene where they're just beating the shit out of each other. And he responded specifically to how every punch feels like it hurts in this sequence, and he wanted that kind of ethos in this movie.
Yeah. And I think it's worth noting, though, that this being his first action film, I mean, he did a little TV before this, and then Very Bad Things was his only other theatrical film. So he was basically an up-and-comer the same way that The Rock was.
Yeah.
And I think that, like, it would have been a very different story if he was handling an established star versus, you know, kind of coming up together with The Rock. And so I think it made for a better collaboration in the eyes of the studio, making it feel maybe a little bit safer.
Well, and you know, for this being his first action movie, I don't know, I feel like he comes into it with a very good perspective of what is exciting and what looks good on screen because of how kinetic this movie is. Specifically, there are so many people getting punched and flying backwards, and they crash into a wall full of shelves, and there's like a crack in the drywall and the shelves all fall down on them afterwards. Or like people getting thrown through things, and or people getting hit in the head in slow motion with a board and the board splintering in slow motion. I mean, just the kind of basic visual pleasures of force and power and destruction being represented here in a way that, again, I just don't feel like we see as much anymore because people aren't shooting on very tactile sets anymore.
Yeah, that's very true. And yeah, you do feel that, I think, here. And I don't know, for my money, it's like They Live as the inspiration is like, that's a long sequence, and it's not very flashy. It is just kind of mid to wide shots of just watching them pummel each other for, 10 minutes straight.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like, that as a visual... I don't get the tonal comparison at all. This movie feels very different from that. Rowdy Roddy Piper is not, doing wire foo around that alley. He is just standing still and slugging that poor guy.
The other thing is, like, you're pulling in the WWE audience here, and you're trying to, I don't know, like that's your built-in audience that's coming to this almost no matter what. And so you are kind of caught in a, I feel like what is happening here, even to your points that you've made, is like they are kind of trapped story-wise, that everything has to filter through the prism of The Rock. Mm-hmm. And anything that doesn't quite support that is unimportant to the film for its, better or detriment.
Yeah.
And so that includes, the completely underwritten Rosario Dawson character, pairing him with Seann William Scott, who was riding high off of the American Pie films and his like early foray into action films here. trying to give him a little bit of foundation to be able to jump off of.
Yeah, well, he does love to jump off of things, as we see many times in this movie.
But you also have like a built-in like testing phase there, because like it's not like The Rock came out of nowhere. Like, he was on TV for almost a decade, proving, his dynamic performances with audiences.
I don't know. I don't feel like filtering things through the lens of The Rock really hurts this movie at all, though. I mean, in terms of like who they're putting him up against, because I think that he has such natural charisma with everyone. Like, look, I don't like Sean William Scott. I find his character in this irritating. Like, at the beginning, I found his character irritating. Yeah. By the end, I was like tolerating him. But mainly, what makes him watchable is it's fun to watch him bouncing off of The Rock. I think that I actually feel really great about Rosario Dawson in this movie. I have a lot to say about that. But, like, I think they have great interplay, too. I don't know. I mean, I think that there's just something about The Rock. He is magic. Like, watching the production featurette for this, a lot of the production featurette is, them on set filming these fight scenes or in rehearsals for them. The Rock is very good at knowing when there is a camera nearby, and he is immediately playing to the camera and mugging and doing shtick and doing bits. And if I see, Jason Statham doing that in a production featurette, if I see, God forbid, Tim Allen doing that, I'm so done. I want to jump out a window. Watching The Rock mugging to camera doing bits, I'm like, fuck yeah, King. Do you want to be my friend? Do you want my lunch money? What do you want? Like, let's just hang out.
2003 Rock.
2003 Rock. Only 2003 Rock. Now, modern day Rock, don't talk to me, weirdo. But, like, yeah, back then, that guy, I don't know. The way he smiles, it's... I don't know. Am I in love with The Rock? Do I need a minute to just talk about The Rock like I did with Jennifer Connelly? I don't know.
Well, okay. Let me pose a story question to you to get into this thing, and we can weave some more of this stuff into it. But where I feel like this film kind of falters is it's technically an adventure treasure film. And that is, I watched this movie twice.
Yeah,
and
same.
Both times didn't remember from the time I saw it, when I owned it and saw it in the theater, the actual treasure part of it.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's like, there's no wonder to this film. And the like, if this was strictly just I gotta go to the Amazon and bring this guy back film, that's a different story. But they're also trying to bring in this treasure hunt thing, and I'm like, you're doing too much. Neither part is really working for me. Like, the capturing Sean William Scott thing is working better, but like, just abandon the treasure part.
No, I will agree. The rewatching it today before we recorded, and like we get to the one scene of treasure hunting where they go into the little like cave thing, and I'm kind of like, oh yeah, this is like the weakest 15 minutes of the movie by far. It's this like I don't buy Sean William Scott as being like a good archaeologist. I don't understand how or when he figured out where El Gato was. I don't know how that happened.
But it's the glue for the whole film, though, and that's what like makes me go, well, what the fuck am I watching? I'm just watching a promo. I'm watching a sizzle reel for The Rock.
Yeah, and it's great. It's got The Rock in it.
Christopher Walken's whole deal too is he's more of like a, what do you call him, a crime lord? Like he's exploiting workers to mine fields for gold, as he has this monologue about like the price football players pay to have their gold grills,
awesome,
and this is what it looks like.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Let me in on that. But it's such a like back burner issue in this movie that I'm like, everything is just stepping aside so The Rock can walk through.
Yeah, well, I mean, and again, Landon, I'm gonna tap the "it's a dumb movie" sign. Like, it's not like Sahara tried to be both an adventure and also an issues movie about capitalism and exploitation and things of that nature, and it really did not. It didn't work. So I think that, honestly, it's the wiser thing in your dumb action movie starring The Rock to be like, yeah, this guy's bad. Why is he bad? He's enslaved the miners. We could talk more about why that's bad, but we all know what we're here to do. And the message of capitalism bad still bleeds through pretty strongly, which I like. look, to the treasure hunt of it all, the producer had a quote about this movie that has been living in my head for a while.
Bring it.
He described the film as Indiana Jones and the Lost Ark meets Romancing the Stone with a little bit of Midnight Run. And I'm like, motherfucker, this movie is Midnight Run Through the Jungle. It is not Raiders. It is not Romancing the Stone. You are
exactly.
What if Midnight Run was wrestling? Is what you're saying? And
what if Midnight Run sweated in the jungle?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they're already. I think those dudes were sweating a lot in Midnight Run anyway.
They were on the bus.
But what if they were? What if they were sweating more? What if they were flipping more? What if they briefly got face fucked by monkeys?
Midnight Rundown.
There you go. There's so many better titles out there. So look, I agree. If you try to look at this movie as a treasure hunting movie, you're not really getting you're that's not really what you're gonna get. But also,
yeah.
I don't know. I compare it to a movie like 6 Days, 7 Nights, which sets out from the get-go saying we're gonna be this island adventure movie, and then the stakes, the purpose, what they're trying to do, it gets lost the second they get to the island, and the movie winds up being just very confused about what it's trying to do. This movie knows exactly what it's trying to do. Like, from the get-go, you were like, okay, I know who the protagonist is, I know what he's after, I know what the stakes are continually escalating, I know that the protagonist lives by a code.
The stakes are grilled up with some porcini mushrooms.
Yes, exactly, because he's listening at the beginning of the movie to a cooking radio show, it seems like.
He wants to be a chef. He wants to open his own restaurant. That's his motivation in life, to get out of the crime life.
Yeah, which is completely different from Robert De Niro in Midnight Run, because he wants to open a coffee shop. Totally different from opening a fancy restaurant. Don't come after me, Writers Guild of America arbitration panel. And again, it's like, yeah, sure, you can say that that's flimsy or weak as a character backstory, but I know a lot more about... I can empathize with and understand that, and I buy into that as a character way more than, this guy likes fancy cigars, or I don't know, or I mean, this is more charismatic than Dirk Pitt, and I know a lot of things about what Dirk Pitt likes. I like knowing that this massive dude wants to go work in a kitchen is way more interesting to me than knowing that Dirk Pitt likes to have boat adventures.
The Bear, season 5.
Oh my god, they found an even more muscly, handsome guy for The Bear.
I'll grant the movie that. I'm just not. What it's selling is just not what I'm buying. Is all.
That sounds like a you problem, Landon.
And it is. I'm not saying it's not. I'm not saying it's not.
And it also sounds like a most of America in 2003 problem. So in some regards, it was Universal Pictures' problem. But it's not my problem, because I'm buying it. I'd buy it again if I could.
Well, let's go through some of the specifics of this movie, and I'm sure some of this stuff will come up a little more naturally as we go along. But I think I really want to continue with he wants to be a chef. This opening sequence, where we understand who he is, what is his job as he's entering this nightclub. Walk me through this. Like, I'm going to take down a group of football players in the center of this nightclub scene.
The Rock's character Beck goes up to this guy. He was identified previously while talking with some other character. That's the guy who owes the loan shark money, or owes the bookie money, and but he's got the whole offensive line with him working security. But so, yeah, he goes up to them.
Is that normal? Where one football player has the other football players running security for him?
Well, I don't know if they're, like, officially his bodyguards. Also, you're asking the wrong person about sports. Maybe that is normal. I don't know if it's necessarily that they're his bodyguards so much as they are just his friends who will throw down if shit goes wrong. But so Beck goes up to him and very politely, kind of discreetly tries to be like, hey, you owe my boss some money. Can you please just resolve this? And the guy gives him like $1,000 and says, hey, get out of my face. I'll get him the rest later. And then he says, I need your ring as collateral. Can you please just slip it to me under the table? I promise I'll get it back to you. Beck just goes into this sequence being very, like, all smiles, very polite, very professional. Hey, can we just work this out? I don't want to embarrass you. I don't want to give you a hard time. And the guy, like, throws a drink in his face and tells him to fuck off. And then he goes and calls his boss and is like, please, can I come after him another night? The whole team is here.
I like this.
I don't want to hurt these guys. Like, he's begging to not fight. And he has to go do it. And there's this sequence of him, he closes the phone, and then he, like, is psyching himself up in the mirror in the bathroom. He got that intense The Rock look in his eyes. And yeah, then he comes out and he gives them option A or option B. You can either give me give me the ring, or the opposite will happen.
Here's one thing that I think, and the opposite does happen.
Yeah, they fight. They fight.
The thing that I think starts to not work for me starts here in this scene, which is like The Rock as a persona and as the character here wants to be the nice guy, but he's going to be doing the mean thing.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying it has to have this vibe to it, but like I understand it in the movie Drive, where like there's a like intensity to Ryan Gosling in that's like, oh, you don't want to actually see him lose it.
Mm-hmm.
Where like I'd only believe it here because The Rock is The Rock.
Yeah.
I actually do think he would get hurt if he went up against a bunch of football players here.
Yes.
I don't think the movie does enough work to make me believe that the character is going to be animalistic enough to throw down with these guys.
Well, I mean, it shows a fight scene where he beats the shit out of all these guys.
It's true. It's true. But it's something about the dichotomy of him wanting to be the nice guy and then going mental on them.
Yeah.
Like, it's the going mental part that doesn't work for me.
Yeah,
because it just transitions into his wrestling. And, like, I wanted to, like, I don't know, something just doesn't work. Like, he had to get, like, his nose broken and be like, all right, motherfucker, this is happening now, and take him down. It's playing it like he has a secret superhero or superpower, and it plays into the end of this movie because he insistent about not using guns.
Yeah, he's like MacGyver.
And when he starts to use guns, is a whole conversation I want to have.
Movies are cool. Look, I'm gonna point again to the dumb movie produced by Vince McMahon starring a pro wrestler sign.
You've had it made out in neon, and you've pulled the chain, and it's blinking behind you. I see it. Yes.
Yeah. I really like him being the nice guy who doesn't want to fight. I realized how much I appreciated that in this movie, because he goes into every fight, including the final showdown with Christopher Walken. Up front, he's like, we don't have to do this. I don't want to fight you or your men. Just walk away, please. I don't want to fight you. And they choose option 2. He has no other choice. He's forced to. I compare this to so many other movies we've watched where it's like the good guy, the protagonist, the one we're supposed to empathize with, takes real joy in hurting people and makes a game and a meal out of every person he gets to punch in the nuts. Like doing just the work of having him be forced to do it and not want to, the fact that he's not enjoying doing it makes it easy for me as the audience member to enjoy watching him do it.
Now, that's a fair point, and it pinpointed for me. I'm able to articulate my problem with it now, but it doesn't come up in this scene. So I'm ready to be able to make a better argument when we get there. But speaking of like template characters, after the scene, he's able to get the ring, go back to the guy who sent him on the job, and it very much is like, one last job. I want out of this life. I'm gonna open my thing. He's like, if you do this one last thing for me, you're out. We're dunsies. And he's like, fine, what's the job? And he sends him into the Amazon to go get his son, who is out treasure hunting and embarrassing him with his last name.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he sends him on, it could be described as a midnight run, perhaps. What I love...
If it's midnight in New York, is it still midnight in the Amazon?
Well, actually, based on the way time zones work, it actually might be closer, in time.
They're longitudinal, not lateral.
What I love about This movie in conversation with Midnight Run, Joe Pantoliano says it's a midnight run to Robert De Niro in like the first 5 minutes of Midnight Run. At the end of this movie, when he finally, spoiler alert, brings Seann William Scott back to his dad, he says to him, "It was a really tough rundown." And I'm like, oh, they did the Midnight Run thing at the end of the movie. And of course, this movie's title was changed multiple times in production, so I'm sure it was not planned.
The other titles are also mentioned in the movie. Welcome to the Jungle was one of them.
Hell Dorado, which I think is by far.
Well, I guess that one's not mentioned, but
it's written. You see, because when they're going into the mining town run by Christopher Walken, it's called El Dorado, but someone has conscientiously gone and scribbled H-E-L, like turned it into Hell Dorado on the sign.
Yeah,
which. I don't know. I mean, when the apocalypse comes, that's going to be me. I'm going to be the guy going to, like, the freeway sign into L.A. and, like, spray painting, "Welcome to Hell" on it or something.
The Rock comes to Frogtown. No, Hell comes to
Rocktown.
El Dorado. Hell Dorado.
Yeah, that sounds...
I'm trying to... Roddy Piper is a wrestler. I was trying to make a Hell comes to Frogtown joke. Didn't work.
Yeah, frogs. That's also a movie. Let's keep going.
You compared this movie to Loving the Mexican. Should we just draw the parallel? We don't have to point a neon sign at it.
But the fact that
Beck.
Yeah, both have characters named Beck. I mean, we didn't discuss the best part of the fight scene in the nightclub where the character Beck picks up one of two turntables and throws it at the guy who's running away like a frisbee.
He leaves the microphone, though.
He leaves the microphone behind. Now, I did pull up a list of the 30 best Beck songs on The Guardian, so I'm not really a Beck listener, but I have all these other Beck references that I can throw in because I feel like we've kind of driven where it's at into the ground over the past couple seasons.
Midnight Vultures?
Yeah.
Like Midnight Run, but there's no vultures in this movie.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I mean, you know what? It sounds like a wrestler saying "getting crazy with the cheese whiz."
that would be my special move as a wrestler, actually. Look, they get to, he goes to the jungle to find Seann William Scott, and he goes to the town of El Dorado, which is run by Christopher Walken, and there's this gigantic mine that he's running there. All of this, like, coal dust and smoke coming off of it. You could call it the new pollution. But he's in town, and
you know what? I'm just gonna sit back and enjoy. As a Beck fan, I'm gonna sit back and enjoy all of these references to Beck albums throughout this episode.
That mean nothing to me as someone who is not a Beck fan. Yeah,
it's just a gift for me.
Yeah. So so he goes there to find Seann William Scott, who is missing, which is also the name of a Beck song. And
are we gonna completely skip over the pilot?
Oh, I mean, okay. Actually, no. We should get a Scottish man flies him into the jungle. I really like
Not just
the way
any man.
Okay, I don't know. Who am I supposed to know who this fucking pilot is?
Oh my god, yeah, absolutely.
Okay, tell me who this
pilot
Ewan
is.
Bremner. Oh,
Ewan Bremner. He did a train spot. He spotted a train once.
Oh, I see. But now he's plane spotting.
Yeah.
Okay, around the world.
He's a famous British Scottish actor that has appeared in quite a few things.
Oh, he was in First Cow. Okay, well that makes more sense. Well, I do look, speaking of the way this movie is made, he's in the kitchen with the crime lord who tells me I have to go to the Amazon to get my son, and then it's just like a Johnny Cash song starts playing about like don't bring your guns to town, which is thematically appropriate because Beck doesn't like guns. And then it's just like off of these kind of quiet opening strains of the song, we cut to this plane silently gliding over the lush green jungles, and it's just like, hell yeah, it's a dumb movie that still has this little contemplative kind of cut into it that kind of eases us in. And also, you know what I hate these days in movies?
What?
They go to a new location, they show an establishing shot, and then bam! Name of location, filling the screen in some kind of goofy font. Oh, are we in Turkey?
It's Amazon.
Turkish-looking font. No, none of that. They're in a fucking jungle, and if you pay attention later, you'll find out they're in Brazil. But we're not going to write that down for you. You can just guess. Look at the context clues. This dumb movie treating us like we're smart.
I will say, the second I press play on this, before you even see images on the screen, there was like you could tell it was a radio playing.
Yeah.
But like a classic rock song started coming on. I'm like, oh fuck no, not again. We're not doing another Sahara here. And then it does the like static and then goes to the news. I guess maybe NPR's Recipe Hour.
Yeah, it's weird. It's like NPR's Car Talk, but if they were talking about porcini mushrooms. It's like some real like Boston ass dude going like, so you want to get the porcini mushrooms and stick them in the pot?
Porcini mushrooms are totally underrated here in America.
Hey, it's got a real earthy flavor. No, this is the divide between you and I. When I hear grainy radio music playing over the production company logos at the beginning, I'm like, ooh, buckle in. We're gonna get a needle drop montage, I think.
All right, let's pause here. You introduced Christopher Walken.
Yes.
How do we feel about Christopher Walken as the villain in this movie?
Oh, I mean, are there words?
That was a noise that we're gonna need more context for.
I just look at a man crushing it. Look at a man just squishing it, just pulverizing it, understanding the shit out of the assignment. I feel like Christopher Walken on set for 3 days. He's in the little control room.
Yeah, I'd say maybe 5. Yeah,
a tight week. Yeah.
5 to 7, including pickups. At the end of the shoot.
So he's got second in command who's out running around doing a lot of the fighting and stuff like that. But he's just... I've read that Christopher Walken pretty much takes every role that's offered to him if they can make his rate and it fits with his schedule, because he views every role as an opportunity to learn something about the craft. And he just loves acting.
You know what he learned on this movie?
What?
There are multiple pop culture references that he did not know. Like, there's a point in this film when he has to make a Oompa Loompa joke. And before delivering the line, Peter Berg had to give him a copy of Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory for him to watch in order for him to be able to deliver the Oompa Loompa line.
It had to make sense to him for him to call those people Oompa Loompas. This is a professional.
And there's another sequence which he's like berating his underlings, where he was supposed to deliver a Winnie the Pooh line, like, they are stealing my honey, I want my honey back. But there was, I guess, legal issues that they couldn't use it, and so he improvises this monologue about the Tooth Fairy.
My God, King. It's so great because he's trying to motivate this gang of people to go off and find the good guys, and he's talking about like, it's like I'm a child and the Tooth Fairy didn't bring me my coin, and then he stops himself and goes, do you understand the concept of the Tooth Fairy? And he's got his second in command, who's played by Uncle Rico from Napoleon Dynamite and the White Lotus, is trying to translate all this into Portuguese. I just love it, because it's like, he doesn't need to do a lot as the bad guy in a dumb movie. He immediately conveys menace. I mean, he's a good actor, and he's Christopher Walken, and they give him a couple big fun monologues that he has a great time with. And his monologue about early on when The Rock first gets there and is talking to him, and he's showing him the mine and talking about how I keep my eye on the ball. This looks like hell to you, but somebody has to do this work of this brutality of enslaving people to pull diamonds out of the earth, and I am that guy. I keep my eye on the ball. And I'm like, great. I don't need more than that. I probably didn't even strictly need that, but I did need to see Christopher Walken do a cool monologue that I think is pretty interestingly written. Like, so it's just whenever he shows up on screen, it's not like, okay, we get it, you're the bad guy. It's like, ooh,
yeah, give me the rubber duckiness of it.
Yeah, he's gonna make a meal out of this scene.
They got my tooth.
Yeah, exactly. I want it back. Well, I think we need to be careful to just not, like, there's so many opportunities to do Walken impressions. We know we're both gonna biff it. We gotta just...
But you didn't stop me with Al Pacino, and I sucked at that. I'm much better at Walken than I am at Pacino.
The fact that, but like, we both acknowledged we were bad at Pacino. If this is something where we think we can be good at it, we are going to humiliate ourselves. Everyone's going to be talking to us saying, you guys thought that was a good Walken impression? I can't face... I live with one of our listeners. I can't face that shame every day.
listen, my eyes are wide open. I'm walking right into it.
Okay. All right. What are your Walken thoughts in this? How do you feel about him in this?
This is another thing, that rock prism, where I'm like, yes, he's serving what this movie is, but I feel like with a little less rock sauce in it, he could go more ham, and I would enjoy that immensely. I really like what Christopher Walken is bringing here. I think as far as a character is concerned, he's the only one making choices that aren't on paper. And they're very interesting. He's just a very interesting person. He's of that ilk of actors we talked about with Matthew Lillard, that like it's Matthew Lillard, Jeff Goldblum, Robert Downey Jr., Christopher Walken. Not that they're all similar, but they all like just no one else can deliver a line like they do. Mm-hmm. They take the punctuation out, they put emphasis in places you wouldn't expect, and it's just always interesting.
Yeah. And it helps that he has good material to work with. Because again, I think this script is pretty good. I think that the dialogue in this is pretty clever and fun. And there's just interplay between the characters. Everyone, when they're saying something, it's usually not just, I feel like, textbook temp dialogue like we've seen in so many other movies.
I just watched the new Mission Impossible movie, and listen, if you like something, I'm not trying to be a downer about the thing you like.
Well, you're doing that with me today.
No, I'm not trying to be a downer to you.
Oh, okay. When your voice goes up there, I actually trust you more. Okay, go on.
The new Mission Impossible movie, if you're talking about comparisons to modern action films, the amount of exposition in that movie made my eyeballs bleed.
Yeah.
I could see the script being read on, like, as if they were like ghost subtitles. It was the worst dialogue ever.
Mission Impossible ghost subtitles.
What I do appreciate about this film, and we can argue how successful it is, but its attempt to lean into the character dynamics, like developing the relationship rather than like, well, this means this, and we have to get here before this because this is going to happen.
Yeah.
I guess pulling a damsel or pulling a Sahara.
Yeah.
That it is, they take the time to go, well, the premise is so simple. The Rock has to get Seann William Scott home. Seann William Scott doesn't want to get home, and so what more needs to be said? We could just play into the tension of, what that looks like.
Exactly.
And, I mean, I think there are better ways of doing it, but I do appreciate that they went in that direction with it.
I think that the Mission Impossible franchise, and especially with this most recent one, which I have not seen, but I've been hearing similar reports, it seems like a dumb movie that doesn't know it's a dumb movie. It's like it does not understand that people are not going to the movie to see a million different plot twists and things like that. They're going there to see what stunts Tom Cruise has chosen to perform himself. And like the movie does not need to twist itself into these knots that have to be explained ad nauseum by every character. And that's, I think, the great triumph of this movie is that, he talks to Walken. Walken says, "Yeah, you can take Seann William Scott." And then what?
Talking to Walken. Talking podcast. Keep going.
Now, if we start that podcast, we will then have to do Walken impressions.
I'm okay with that.
Oh, God.
That was bad. That was a bad one. I'm
yeah,
sorry.
Okay, he admits it. Everyone.
That one was because you made me self-conscious about doing it too much.
This is how I gaslight you. But he talks to Walken. He gets Walken's permission to take Seann William Scott out of the jungle. Now you're making me self-conscious, Landon. This is what happens. It's like I'm Robert De Niro and you're Charles Grodin, and I'm just trying to make a midnight run, but you keep saying little things that get under my skin. I'm gonna smoke another cigarette on this airplane. He
those will kill you in the end.
He gets Seann William Scott at this bar, and then Walken confronts them there and says, "Oh, actually, I've learned that Seann William Scott knows where the Gato is, this priceless artifact, so I'm not going to let you go with him." And then they're on the run and they're being chased through the jungle, and that's your movie. It's just jungle chases, jungle adventures.
Yeah, I just feel like it should have trimmed out some of this other stuff. Like Rosario Dawson doesn't need to be here. I'm glad she is. She's one of the loves of my life. I will never complain about seeing her, but like by putting the rock prism in front of everything. Like, this should just be, like, fucking forget the treasure hunting, because that becomes a big part of her plot line of her kind of double crossing them and trying to get this thing and protect the thing for her own people and get the money to, for their freedom and liberation and all that stuff. Where it's underplayed in that regard. I don't know. It just is unnecessary. And I feel like it would just be stronger if the whole thing was just, what if these two people that were completely opposite had to fight through the jungle to get home?
No, man. No. Sorry. That's not the case. This is actually... I'm sorry. No, you're being very magnanimous to me. I disagree. I humbly but respectfully disagree.
Okay, all right.
Rosario Dawson in this, I think, is one of the better action movie protagonists I've seen in a movie for this show. I think a lot about Rojas in Sahara, who it's like has Eva Rojas, Penelope Cruz in Sahara, who has you don't know still the names of all the characters from the movie Sahara? Are you?
No, I know who you're talking about. I'm just surprised that you think about her.
Yeah, thinking about Penelope Cruz. What kind of sick freak would do such a thing?
Wait, you didn't say that. You said Rojas.
Yes, I'm just thinking about Rojas. She does such great work for the World Health Organization. She puts dust into test tubes. She holds the test tube up to the light.
Wait, who?
Rojas.
Oh, the World Health Organization. Got it. See, I'm trying to become the Sean William Scott of this episode.
You're well.
You like that? You like a little bit of thunder? How about a little bit of lightning, huh? Over
God.
Here.
Remember in Midnight Run when he makes Charles Grodin, like he locks him in the bathroom of the train car? We're getting close. We're getting close to this, Landon. You compare her to Penelope Cruz in Sahara, who is portrayed as like, we're told, oh, she's this tough and capable lady, but she basically just follows them around and immediately gets captured and doesn't really have anything to add to the plot. In this movie, Rosario Dawson's character, we first meet her, she's the bartender at the bar where he finds Sean William Scott, and there's a really fun scene there where she's serving the rock and he's saying, I got someone I'm trying to find, and then Sean William Scott walks into the bar like behind him and is saying like, his name's Travis Williams, he's about 5'11", he's got blonde hair, he's wearing a blue shirt and red pants, and right now he's got a real bewildered look on his face, and you start the scene out thinking, oh, the game of this is going to be that The Rock doesn't know Sean William Scott is behind him, but then they do this rug pull of like, actually he does know, and that's like, oh, The Rock's character is really cool. Okay, so he knows what's up. I just had to talk about that. But
yeah, okay.
He meets her there, and then later on they're in the jungle, and they get into some trouble. They get captured by a bunch of rebels, and then they meet the rebel leader, and oh shit, the rebel leader's been Rosario Dawson the whole time. And she talks about how evil Christopher Walken is and how she wants to rise up and free her people. And then she wants to get El Gato because both, it's a sacred cultural artifact for her people, but also, as she explains to them, I don't really believe in the spiritual stuff. I want to sell it so we can like buy agricultural supplies to work our own land and be free. And then, after they've got the idol, she tricks them by giving them this fruit that makes them hallucinate and get knocked out and be incapacitated. Yeah. And as they're
going to come back to that because that's the point that I realized my point. But go ahead.
Okay. But like she, after they are knocked out by the fruit, she takes the idol from them and says, I've got to take this. I've got to do this for my people. And she goes to Sean, she says to them, you'll be fine in about 5 hours. She throws some more logs on the fire. She says the fire is going to keep the animals away. And she goes over to Sean William Scott, who has previously been talking about how nobody respects him and he wanted to be the one to find El Gato, so he would be known for that. And she says to him, you found it first, no one can ever take that away from you, and he needs some money to buy his freedom. She says, once I sell this, I will send you the money, that's a promise. She goes to The Rock, who all he wants is to find the way to the airport. She says to him, you held up your end of the bargain, here's mine, you go south, you'll hit the road, you travel along the road, that'll take you to the airport, good luck. She leaves. They then find out after this, oh no, Christopher Walken has recaptured her, and they make the decision in the third act to go back in the town and rescue her. But the whole point is, she is like, she has an actual motivation. Like, she genuinely
Yeah.
wants to help her people, and she has, like, clearly defined goals. She acts in pursuit of what she wants to do, and
Yeah.
and then also, there's not any kind of stupid love triangle thing going on between them. They don't go back for her because someone's in love with her. They don't go back for her because she's hot. Literally, they go back for her because they just like her, because she's been, like, a good partner to them, and she's been,
Fair,
like,
yeah.
honorable and treated them well, even though she got one over on them with El Gato. And it's like,
Yeah.
I think that's really cool that it's just like, no, you're, like, you've been an equitable partner in what we're doing, and we like you. We just respect you, so we're gonna go rescue you. And I like that so much more than just, here's the hot lady, she kicks a guy in the face in one scene so we can call her a strong female protagonist, but otherwise she just is kind of, like, doing whatever Dirk Pitt wants to do in this scene.
She actually takes a shot at Seann William Scott in this movie.
Damn right she does.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm not going to argue any of that. To me, it's just, she's not, she has so much going on in her story, so much cool stuff that, again, I feel like is just pushed a little bit out of the way to make sure that The Rock is a star. Like, maybe, you know, why not? We're famous for doing it. Monday morning writer's room. Maybe don't cast Seann William Scott and make Rosario Dawson the person that he has to bring back and bring that storyline more to the forefront. Because, and now here's where I'll make that argument, is when you talked about the scene where they hallucinate.
Yeah.
She gives them the fruit, they hallucinate for 5 hours, and when they wake up, they had previously encountered some monkeys when they got caught in a trap. It's a whole sequence.
Yeah, it is a whole sequence.
we could maybe return to that, but they are, while they're incapacitated on the ground, they're writhing around, and you can kind of hear the monkeys starting to come back in the daylight now that the fire is down.
Yeah.
And in this moment, Seann William Scott is kind of groggy and waking up and unable to move, and so is The Rock. But The Rock motivates himself. He finds something inside of himself to just go on, and I'm not gonna take it no more, and gets up and, you know, breaks his chains, and he's no longer hallucinating. But before that, while he's on the ground coming to, he is mumbling and being like, oh, don't want the monkey, get the monkey, you know, like,
yeah, it's funny.
He's playing comedy.
Yeah, it's great.
And this is, I think, the problem that I have with him in this movie is he's the nice guy.
Yeah.
He's the tough guy.
Yeah.
He's the comic relief. He's the superhero. He's the action star. He's literally everything. And it annoys me, I think. I think it's like, can we take one of those things away from you? Like, Seann William Scott was hired to be the funny guy. Can you just play it seriously, maybe? Or if we're hiring The Rock with your charisma, then give me a Rosario Dawson type that is going to be serious through it and lean more into the comedy of The Rock. The fact that they're both comedic and he has all of this other stuff, like, he's overshadowing anything Seann William Scott is contributing to this movie.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't think Seann William Scott is contributing that much to this movie. I just do not like I'm not buying it.
That's fair. But if you were casting a buddy comedy, like, that is a main component. You want to have an equal equation or some sort of equation that works there, not just put everything on the shoulders of the guy you're trying to make into a lead.
Well, he's doing a different kind of funny also. Like, Seann William Scott's character is like, I'm the Joker, I'm telling jokes. The Rock is doing things that are funny, but not intentionally so. When he's lying immobilized on the ground looking at the monkeys, and he's screaming like, no, get away, monkey! That's him in a genuine moment of fear screaming at the monkey and screaming about how he wants to see concrete and how much he misses the Los Angeles Lakers. And that the Lakers, by the way, are what motivate him to rise up and yell at the monkeys.
I don't know. I do think he is playing the comedy in that moment, and to me, it's just a little obnoxious. I think that's why I find this film a little obnoxious.
Okay, so if you can just hear my sign. Zzz,
I see the sign. I see the sign. I'm about to throw a rock. I'm about to have the Rock jump through and bicep your pillar of the sign there.
Oh, okay. Well, fortunately, I have extras stored away.
Okay.
I think first, I think that The Rock does a great job of showing a lot of kind of I don't know, vulnerability. I don't know if that's necessarily the word in this movie. There's there's scenes where he gets,
range. He's showing range for sure.
Yeah, well, and also just in terms of like, yes, he is nice and strong and good at fighting and all these things, but he's still...
You sound like a grandma describing The Rock.
He's a nice boy. He's good at fighting.
He's so nice. He's so big.
He had some trouble with the monkey face fucking him earlier, but that's over with now. He yelled at them about the Lakers.
Very progressive grandma.
I mean, she's a resistance grandma. Like, there's all these different scenes that he's in, though, with Seann William Scott, where it's like he'll go into the scene on top, and then he'll come out of that scene being, with the rug pulled out from under him. They get captured by the rebel fighters, and they've been tied up, and Seann William Scott speaks Portuguese, The Rock does not, and so he's saying to The Rock, okay, I can get through this, you just need to make very stern eye contact with this lead guy while I talk us out of this thing, otherwise he'll be disrespected. And then you see the subtitles as he's talking to this guy who's holding them captive, and is saying, oh, this man is a hitman who captured me, and he's been sent to kill you, and he says that he fucked your mom, and whatever, and The Rock keeps glaring at him, and like... and Seann William Scott is digging this hole for The Rock to be in that then we have to see The Rock get out of. Or it's like The Rock getting, like, looped around his leg and pulled and hung upside down. Like, there's scenes where he gets his ass kicked. There's scenes where he pratfalls and is, like... I don't know. I've seen so many other action movies where the lead character is large and in charge the entire time and never breaks a sweat. And there are a lot of points here where he's like, oh, what the fuck's going on? Oh, how do I get out of this? And he has to figure a way through it.
If we're talking about that spectrum, though, like, we'll put Orson Fortune on one end of that. Yeah. And we'll put, like, Harrison Ford as Indiana Jones on the other end of that. And this... I would say is kind of maybe close to the middle and just veering slightly more in the Orson Fortune side where, like, yes, he is challenged and he's not like a superhero unaffected throughout the whole thing, but at the same time, he's never really like out of his depth.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
Like, he's always capable.
Yeah.
Like, it's more just an annoyance when Seann William Scott gets away. It's more of an annoyance when the trap gets him. I never really feel like he thinks he's incapable of handling a situation.
Yeah, but also, I mean, if you can still hear zzz, 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 because it's like the reason you go to see a movie of this type is not necessarily because you want to, like, feel the actual visceral panic of being caught in a jungle war zone. It's more, I want to see The Rock do The Rock stuff. So he's doing The Rock. Yeah. He's like, this movie is doing the thing that it set out to do. It is remaining tonally consistent to the logic of the movie as a launch pad for The Rock.
Yeah, and then I don't want to relitigate it, but then it goes back to my point of, like, I don't feel like it's directed in a way to very much support that. I feel like it undermines it to a degree, but that's just me. Wow. But let's keep going. I want to talk about these freedom fighters.
Okay, yeah. So, yeah, they at one point in the jungle, they get captured by a group of freedom fighters who are living in the jungle. They're the original inhabitants of the area, and they are fighting back against the tyranny and depravity of Christopher Walken.
So this is a big, like, tentpole sequence of this film.
Yes, more of a vine-swinging sequence.
I guess so, yes. Odd that it's not our first vine-swinging sequence in our pantheon, but...
yeah, and this is also not our first third-act cattle stampede sequence of our oeuvre. True. But, sometimes history rhymes. Yeah, they've been captured. Seann William Scott has done this whole prank on The Rock where he convinces the people, the freedom fighters, that The Rock wants to kill them, and so a bunch of them fight him in I wouldn't say one-on-one combat. It's more like 1-on-8 combat.
It's a Royal Rumble.
Yeah, and they are swinging on vines down from the trees and to punch him, which doesn't. I don't think that would be like super effective as a fighting style in real life, but the dumb movie sign tells me that it makes a lot of sense here.
Yeah, so, okay, the person I want to call out here is the original Donatello, obviously, Ernie Reyes Jr., who stuntman, actor, surf ninjas. If you are me at 12 years old, just indelible, and I think a really overlooked part of Hollywood in establishing a sort of fighting style of the 90s. He's playing the head freedom fighter here.
Yeah.
Going up against The Rock.
Yeah.
And I got to be honest, I mean, he's showing as much prowess as The Rock is here.
It's very impressive fighting. Him and all of these dudes are flipping around, and do we know, is this capoeira? Is this some of that red belt ass Brazilian jiu-jitsu we've been told so much about?
I am not even going to venture a guess as to that. I will say it is Brazilian, which I think is a nice touch, that they didn't. This is where I'm like, okay, I don't like how this is directed, but I do appreciate in 2025 having seen fucking 25 years of every single person knowing Kung Fu, that we aren't seeing Kung Fu.
Yeah.
We're seeing a fighting style that is diegetic to the freedom fighters, and we're seeing a fighting style that is diegetic to The Rock, not necessarily the character of Beck, but whatever, I already mentioned that.
Beck is Rock. That's the deal.
Beck is Rock.
I also love that when he's fighting Eddie Reyes Jr., I like that Eddie Reyes Jr.'s character, he doesn't speak English, so he's just kind of bouncing around and taunting him with, the couple of English words the character knows. So at one point he's saying, come on, hip-hop, and then later he's saying, come on, Kansas City. And I like the sort of cultural clash that's being presented there, in addition to the physical clash, which is definitely at the forefront.
Okay. I'm so sorry. The way this is shot, I actually think the action sequences of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, in which Eddie Reyes Jr. played Donatello, were shot better. I think.
Wow, man.
You just get such quick glimpses of movement that it makes me want to see these incredible performers do their thing and not have it broken up by editing. It's just so quick paced that I feel like it loses. In its attempt to be more visceral, it becomes less visceral.
I mean, look, I don't feel like it's visceral in terms, I do not feel every punch hurts necessarily. It's very much doing its own heightened, stylized action movie thing. I somehow, maybe it's just that action movies now are even more heavily edited, because this scene feels to me like it plays out in so many relatively long shots that we are tracking in slow motion people spinning and flipping and getting, knocked aside. I don't know. Maybe it's just because the last couple action movies we've watched for this show have been men walking at a brisk pace, shooting people 30 feet away who don't even know that they're there.
I mean, that's fair, but I mean, I don't know. Do you compare every movie to the 20 years of movies that come out after it?
I don't know, man. I mean, I guess I am in this case, because this felt like such a breath of fresh air in the way that everything was presented. I'm bringing my whole life into the room with me. Don Draper told us about this.
That's fair. I will say this movie, whatever. I'm not going to take this movie with me, but it did put me in a place where I'm like, God damn, I just miss watching good movies. And I had to spend the remaining week before we recorded watching Amadeus. I'm like, I need cinema. I need good movies in my life again, because I'm sick of watching fucking The Rundown.
See, this is the thing, man. This really is the inverse of Wicker Park. I was so bummed out by that shit-heeled, dumbass movie, and then I put this on, and I'm like, finally, cinema. Finally, something that's just good and nourishing to my bones.
Hey, maybe we're finding, where the dividing line in our taste are.
Yeah, I guess it's that you like kind of contemplative, thought-provoking stuff, and I like seeing a big muscle man punch things. Look, let's hope that neither one of us has to take the other one on a midnight run, because these personalities would clash constantly throughout.
the machine is kind of taking us on a midnight run through this podcast.
True, it's all times, really. Those guys in Midnight Run should have started a podcast. That would have been great.
But I really appreciate the stunt performing here, the wire work. There's a lot of behind-the-scenes footage you can see about just how physical the shoot was.
Yes.
And, like, part of that is, like, they didn't have the technology at the time. Like, unless you're doing the $150 million Harry Potter movie or the X-Men movie, you're not going to CGI The Rock and, all the characters in their fight scenes and getting thrown around. The wire work was still the way to go.
And you know what? I think that's part of it also, is that this movie came out at such a time that the CGI was... The limitations were such that, they use it for, like, the wide shots of the mine and some of these, like, zoomy around overhead stuff, and they do to remove the wires from shots, but just the feeling of watching a movie and knowing that, like, they hooked up a stunt person to a cord and yanked them back 30 feet to crash into that thing. Like, that, it just feels better to see that, you know? Like, you're seeing artistry, and you're seeing something that everyone on set, a whole team of people thought about and collaborated, and they put a lot of sweat and effort and time and thought into constructing these things for you because they cared about it and because they cared about achieving a certain look for the movie. And that's why I feel like the craftsmanship in this movie is an act of love. Like the enthusiasm that was shown for what they were doing.
There's a term when you're, like, trying to sync two audio tracks and one is just slightly off of the other. Asynchronous. That's not exactly it, but
I think it's called a Gruntwork podcast. Yeah.
No, but, like, that kind of disarray that happens when two things aren't quite synced up.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of what's happening here for me. If I could talk this out for a second.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't watch WWE during The Rock's tenure at all. Like, I checked out in, like, 94. But I have a lot of respect and appreciation for wrestling professionals for the very reason that you just described. The craft of it, throwing themselves, just completely into the performance for 25, 30 minutes at a time, sometimes longer. And you watch that play out in real time. That is a level of performance and endurance that is mind-boggling to me. And that is a talent that I feel like is undermined a bit when you are attaching... Now, I have respect for these things separately, but when you're attaching The Rock to wires and having him run and jump off of one tree and then another tree and then land a punch, it's like... But we know he can do it in real time, and you're turning him into a superhero when he kind of already made himself a superhero without all this stuff. So it feels like it's just a weird disconnect to me, where I'm like, it's not exactly how I wanted to see The Rock being presented as an action star for the first time.
Yeah. I think that under a argument, it's that it is fun.
That fucking sign.
It is fun to watch, just visually on screen, a man that massive flying through the air in a way that is not physically possible to show that. I understand what you mean of that he can do these things that are acrobatic, purely based on his own athletic skill in the ring, and here we are seeing that assisted by wires and things like that. But also, it requires a fuck ton of athleticism to get wire food between a bunch of trees and punch a stuntman in the face.
And I'm not taking that away from it at all. As I said, I respect both separately. And I don't even disagree with you saying a big burly man doing these things. It's, I think, The Rock doing these things, especially for his first turn, that I'm like, but you haven't even shown me the thing that he's good at. You're amplifying the thing that he's good at in a superficial way and not allowing me to, like, really get the, if you can allow the pun, the rawness of it.
There you go. Crudo. Yeah.
I don't know. I kind of, like, give me the They Live fight scene turned up to 11 with, The Rock's energy and not just Roddy Piper's energy.
Well,
give me that vibe throughout this film.
But is turning it up to 11 not attaching a pro wrestler to wire fu and having him fly around? I mean,
I think that's a different amplifier that goes up to 11. That's a different 11.
I feel like this movie is one of the most successful wrestling movies in terms of me, a person who doesn't watch wrestling, and I want to like wrestling. I have friends who I love and deeply respect who care a great deal about wrestling and have tried to get me into it, and I've tried to care, but I can never quite conceptualize the stakes. And it's like, okay, the conflict is real, but like, who is Macho Man Randy Savage when he's not in the ring? Like, are these just
you don't want to know that.
Are wrestler, but like, are these wrestler characters they're playing, like, how do they fit into the world? What are they? And I think that this movie,
they don't.
and I guess I can't fully connect that. Whereas this movie sort of takes the logic of there are certain massive dudes who are forces for good who fight evil and don't use guns, and like, just, it's like, okay, this guy is a wrestler in all but name. He's great at everything, charismatic, a total gentleman, and he's going to go fight this evil guy by throwing dudes around. It's like, okay, that's great. This is a wrestling type story of good and evil that I can get on board with.
Well, let's throw some different wrestlers in here to see if it still works.
Sure.
Because I think all of your arguments, as far as my entertainment would go, would work better if it was like an Andre the Giant. No disrespect to Mr. the Giant, but no, that wouldn't fly here. I think The Rock is so like, or like a smaller guy, I think would also work.
Vern Troyer,
because The Rock is just, he's so capable. Like, he's flexible, he's athletic, he's muscly. Like, I feel like you could break your skull with a punch.
You also sound like a grandma. He's flexible, he's muscly, he can break your skull with a punch.
Lots of grandmas into wrestling, by the way.
Not surprising.
I feel like The Rock is an interesting choice. Like, could you picture Roddy Piper in this role?
I mean, I could. I wouldn't like it as much. No disrespect.
That's what I mean.
Mr.
Like, as successfully.
Piper. Look, you said earlier that this movie is not giving The Rock an opportunity to showcase what he's good at, and part of why I disagree is because the first time The Rock smiles in this movie, he is showcasing what he's good at. The Rock has a specific, as a pro wrestler, has a specific type of magnetism and charisma that works really well on screen, that is working for me especially hard here. And it's like, I think that somebody like, I don't know, like Jesse Ventura or something in Predator, it's like, he's very charismatic, but not this kind of charismatic. He is gruff, tough man, I'm gonna kick the shit out of you charismatic, versus The Rock being like, I could kick the shit out of you, but I don't want to. I want to just hang out and make some porcini mushrooms.
Yeah, okay. Well, I mean, we're not going to resolve our differences here, which is fine. I respect that you had that. I think when the experiment of his range is going in too many directions. Like, making him comedic, making him the nice guy, just that laundry list I gave before, like, it's a little too much range. Just like, can you focus on holding the camera and making the character presented to you believable, rather than trying to be all of the things at once?
See, I just believe it is the thing. Like they say in the end song from Midnight Run, I've tried to believe, and I did.
Let me ask you this, because you're the one that usually looks at the reception of things.
Yeah.
What was the response to people who were into wrestling? Did they accept The Rock as a viable leading man, or were they like, how did they feel about how it was presented?
Look, I can't really speak to the reception from, like, wrestling fans for this movie.
Yeah.
But, like, in terms of critical response, generally favorable reviews. There were some people, like, some critics who said, this is dumb bullshit. And there were a lot of critics who said, yeah, this is actually pretty clever. I mean, it's kind of, well, it's a mid-range action movie, whatever. But, yeah, this is pretty good. And I mean, in particular, Roger Ebert gave this 3.5 stars out of 4. He loved this movie. He said, I enjoyed it that real things were happening, that we were not simply looking at shootouts and chases, but at intriguing and daring enterprise. And he was very favorable about The Rock's performance in this. He was a big booster of The Rock from early on.
What about John Cena?
John Cena? I could see John Cena in a movie like this. I like John Cena a lot.
I think John Cena would do this better. I think this movie would work for me if it was John Cena.
I would love to see this movie with John Cena. I mean, yeah, I'm a huge John Cena fan, and I think that because again, I mean, I think that he has kind of cracked the code of how to contrast his massive physique with a kind of gentle or almost at times pitiable personality.
Yeah, he's got kind of a manic energy when things are falling apart that I think would work well here, which is what's missing for me with The Rock, because he stays too composed. Like, I can almost see the seeds of him going, I need to control my image in every regard, in every situation. Like, just the seeds of what we see now is being planted here, and I kind of want the, like, I don't mind looking insane. I don't mind looking like, an idiot. I don't mind looking bad in a scene.
Have you seen Be Cool, the Get Shorty sequel?
I fucking hate it.
Yeah,
but I'm also not a fan of Get Shorty.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
I don't hate Get Shorty, but like Be Cool is actively obnoxious.
As a fan of Get Shorty, I am not a fan of Be Cool. However, like that, I think that is one of The Rock's first roles. He's playing like a gay guy who's trying to launch himself out of like being a hitman, or not a hitman, but like a thug, into like a country and western career or something. And that is like that his like small role in that I remember getting a lot of attention and a lot of talk of like, wow, look at him fully diving into this character, being goofy, being weird, and people really responding to it. I mean, maybe like, I don't know, does that do anything for you? That certainly was not him being concerned about image management.
That's why I kind of feel like I don't know, there's just something miscalculated here, because like his weird wacky shit that he does in God, I blocked the movie out of my head, Southland Tales. What he's doing in that movie, I mean, makes me want to tear my skin off. I hate that movie to such a large degree, and his performance in it is a big part of it.
Yeah. Your hatred for Southland Tales is legendary. You've talked about that on so many different podcasts. Maybe what it comes down to is I just like The Rock a lot more than you do, or I like The Rock at a certain time period in his career a lot more than you do, and now we feel the same way about him today.
And I'll just reiterate what I said at the beginning, which is not that I dislike him. I just could not have less investment in a person than The Rock.
Well, I mean, Vince McMahon had a pretty big investment in him that did not pay off in the case of this movie.
So did Universal. Let's go to the climax of this, because I want to wrap up our last disagreement about this whole gun thing.
Yeah, so they have made it out of the jungle. Rosario Dawson has knocked them out with the fruit to get away with the idol. They then learn from the Scottish plane pilot that she has been captured by Christopher Walken, and there's this kind of really beautiful moment where they both are digesting this information, and they both kind of look, and it's just very silent. It just plays out in kind of like their eyes. They're looking at each other, and like the Rock is like, he's so close to getting Sean William Scott back, and he's finally going to be done with this job. He's like, no, I got to do it. And he's like, no, okay, I'm going back for her. And Sean William Scott convinces him to let him help too. And they're in town. She's been captured. Christopher Walken then sees on one of his surveillance cameras from one of his outposts, The Rock has gone in there and beat everybody up, and he's talking directly to the camera, and he's like, I'm going to give you option A or option B. I don't want to fight you and your men. Option A, you walk away, give me the girl and the idol. Option B, I come and take them from you. And Christopher Walken starts laughing, and then The Rock hears this and just punches the camera that he's been talking into, and then Christopher Walken just yells, lock down the town, and I start pumping my fists.
Okay, that part worked for me. If the whole movie had that energy, I would be on board. But unfortunately, it wavers at times. But I just wanted to chime in and give it kudos for a moment.
Or it gets stronger and stronger from then on, some might say. But the whole town armors up and is ready and waiting, and then the pilot walks into town playing some bagpipes to distract them, I guess. I don't really know why the pilot comes in playing bagpipes and quoting like Robert Burns or whatever.
It makes zero sense. He comes in, I think, as a distraction initially playing the bagpipes, but then like mayhem happens. He's just off to the side with his feet up on a table, just kind of doing this poetic commentary of everything that's happening, and it's like, what the fuck is this? Why is this character here? He's a pilot. He just got him to the Amazon. What more does he need to be in this movie for?
It's like we see him when he flies the rock in at the beginning, and it's like, okay, he's got a thick Scottish accent. That's fun. We then haven't really seen him for the rest of the movie. He does not really seem to care much about the stakes of the plot, and then he comes in. He decides to march into town playing his bagpipes, and then it's like, that's all. I'm just about the music. I'm gonna just sit here with my feet up, drinking beers, and going like, do not go gentle into that good night. Don't know if that's Shrek or what that is, but
I don't either.
I love it though. It's the dumb movie sign blazing away there. It's like, okay, this is kind of funny. It's a thing to cut back to. But yeah, so then after the bagpiping, everyone's just like, what did that mean? And then a stampede of cows comes through town, which they actually filmed it, not CGI cows like in Tarzan. No. The real thing. Yeah, there's a lot of kick-ass shooting and fighting. Well, people are shooting at them. And The Rock is going through town, and he's fighting these guys, and he's, like, kicking the shit out of them, and at first he's grabbing their guns from them, and he's just tossing their guns away.
Truman, listen, I'm gonna take this away from you.
Okay.
I'm playing my hand right now. I'm pointing myself at the dumb movie sign.
Yeah.
I'm doing that right now.
Yeah, you are.
Before I even ask the question.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't point at it as your answer. What was The Rock's plan here? Now, I realize it's a big dumb movie. You don't need a plan that makes a lot of sense. But even still, well, I don't understand what he's gonna do.
He is distracted and sidelined most of the soldiers in town with the cow stampede. And then that allows him to get close enough that he can do what he does best, which is punching and flipping around. And every other situation in the movie, it's like, if I get within punching range, we're basically done with the conversation. So I think that's it. His plan was to punch people.
Punch people. Okay, all right.
And
I needed to check in there.
He punches people. He also punches objects to great effect. But he's punching these guys, taking their guns from them, and tossing them aside. That's the way that this fight sequence starts. Yeah. As it continues,
and as we know from Operation Fortune, they cannot pick their guns back up after they've been thrown away.
No, it's like a health code thing. As soon as the gun touches the ground, it's garbage, and it's unhealthy. No 5-second rule. But then as the fighting continues, then he grabs a couple of long guns from these guys and is using them as like melee weapons to like bash these dudes in the face with, and flipping the guns around to fight with like that. And that's really cool. So he's escalated. Now he's using guns, but not as projectile weapons. He's just using them to as like an extension of his arms. So he's still staying true to his no guns credo. But then,
is that something you could do in Fallout?
To beat someone with a gun?
Yeah. Or Borderlands, maybe?
Borderlands? No, I think that in Perfect Dark, some of the guns, their secondary function was just like you could swing it and bash people in the head with it. But no, look, Fallout 5, Todd Howard, listen up. I want to punch someone using a gun. But then the tide of battle turns, and Sean William Scott is surrounded, and he's in this bus with a million people shooting at him, and it's going to explode in a second, and The Rock is pinned down by a bunch of guys up on a rooftop with machine guns, and he's got these 2 shotguns with him, and the Scottish guy is reciting "Do not go gentle into that good night," and there's all these like super intense zoom-ins on the guns firing, and The Rock looking at them and like getting so intense, and finally fucking hardcore rock music starts playing, and he picks up these 2 shotguns, and he's using guns now, and he's walking around with a shotgun in each hand, blasting people. And oh, ladies and gentlemen, the movie is dumb in a glorious way.
Okay, I'm gonna pause you, and I hate to take the steam out of what you said.
I got so much steam, dude. I'm all gassed up on
what
this
you
movie.
described sounds awesome.
Yeah.
And I would have loved to have seen that. I think the intensity of those moments aren't quite pitched to the right degree. It's partly the editing. It's partly unearned, I think.
It's tremendously earned.
I'm not into guns. Bad things happen when I touch guns.
Yeah.
When he uses a gun, I don't see how he's using a gun any differently than any other motherfucker uses a gun ever. He's just pointing and shooting.
But it looks
and
cool.
like any other big-ass hero, he is a perfect shot while the bad guys are the worst shots in the world.
Yeah.
What is he doing with guns that is justified enough to go, when I touch a gun, bad things happen?
Okay, so, like, here's the thing.
Okay, I'm listening.
A shotgun, typically, that's a 2-handed weapon. You have to put 2 hands on it to fire it.
Yeah.
But he has one in each hand, and even though they're quite heavy and have immense recoil, he's able to just straight arm that shit and blast a guy, and then he, like, folds them up under his armpits to, like, pump them and eject the shells and be ready to, like, and that's like really cool. And when you're watching it, you, like, feel good seeing it happen, because it's like, oh, I bet I would do that if I was a cool guy, you know?
Now,
you get it?
As a director, bring me into that experience so that I understand that that's a hard thing to do. To me, seeing a big burly dude wielding 2 shotguns in each hand, or 1 shotgun in each hand, didn't register to me as anything other than, well, of course, he's the fucking Rock. We've seen that for 2 hours. Why wouldn't he be able to just hold up 2 shotguns?
We haven't seen that for 2 hours. He hasn't done that yet. He's been building to this. It's an arc. It's a
his
resolution.
Capability in every other regard. Also, this is going to be a little controversial, Truman, and I'm sorry, and I realize this is just going to be adding flame to the fire.
Oh my god, dude.
Gasoline to the fire? Can you add more flame to a flaming pile of fire already?
A flaming pile of fire? I mean, wow, we are betraying a lot of poor knowledge of chemistry, grammar.
I think the moment of rock music at the end of Carrie is more effective than the rock music kicking in here.
I don't know,
this
man.
Is the most, like, copyright free, played low on the soundtrack moment of, like, intense, now you're gonna get it, motherfucker. I think Billy Madison grabbing the dodgeball in midair saying, now you're all in trouble, is a better version of this moment than we get here.
Look, I will admit, when the song first kicks in and it's going jang 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 jang, I'm like, wait, is that the opening music for Mark Maron's podcast? Is that what I'm hearing right now? Are we locking the gates? Is Mark Maron gonna sit down and interview The Rock about how he decided to start using guns again? Yeah, man, I don't know, man. It's cool when cool stuff happens in movies, I guess. There's a Brazilian flag flying behind him as he turns in slow motion. So, like, there's like an explosion, and a tire that's on fire flies right at the camera, and Sean William Scott is, like, getting blasted by the force of the explosion. You know, there's a guy with, like, he pulls a knife out of the handle of his whip. The Rock, after using the 2 shotguns, as this music is playing, the guys up on the rooftop are still shooting at him. He full-on dives from one building into the building that they are on top of, and in midair punches out one of the support beams.
He clotheslines it. He flying clotheslines it, Truman.
Might be. A flying clothesline. I like it even more now. But then he punches out all the other support beams, and the entire house with the dudes on the roof collapses. Which is cool, and because he's been using the guns, but then he finds the guns are not effective in taking out the guys on the roof, and that instead all he needed the whole time was punching, and he goes in there and he punches out the support beam. So it kind of tells a story about him finally deciding to use guns again, but then learning, oh no, I don't need them. It's not that I choose not to use them, it's that I don't need them.
I don't feel that beat in the story at all. It just seems like he uses a gun for half a second and then stops using the gun. And I will say the flying clothesline to taking out the pillar, like that to me is using wrestling in a way that could be fun. And this moment is fun, but
yeah,
it was like the preceding movie led me to like not really be invested in this final stretch here. And I didn't feel like it. I didn't feel involved in any of this end scene. It was just like, the Rock's got it. It's no big deal. Like he's gonna take it all down. It's not.
But like Columbo is going to catch that aristocrat in their own lies eventually. The fun is watching how Columbo does that. But
he brings me into it though, like because along the way we know how his mind's coming together, and it's a gem to watch him unfold it in front of the perpetrator. Here it's just like The Rock has been capable through the whole thing, and then of course he's going to be fucking capable in this last moment.
Yeah, but
and he bad things happen when he uses guns, and the bad thing that happens when he uses guns is that he shoots a couple people. Like, maybe I have brain rot after 20 years of, like, expecting a John Wick sequence here. Maybe that's what's happening. I don't know. It just was, like, such a lackluster payoff to this whole bad things happen when I touch guns thing. And I feel like it's very indicative of just all of his superpowers in this movie. It's like, well, what else did you expect me to think was going to happen? You're the fucking Rock.
Yeah, I mean, but I don't know. He's the Columbo of punching to me. Seeing him punching, I know the guy's going to get punched, but I want to see that. It's fun to watch the way he operates. I don't know, man. I don't know.
Yeah, also, on just kind of a sequence level, like, I also think, like, the Three Amigos did the let's shut the city down and bring the bad guys to a halt sort of this scenario better, where it's like this final stretch is like 5 minutes. And, like, if you're building and building to this where it's like, you don't want to see me when I'm angry, if he's going to Hulk out in this moment, let me have that entire journey in a, like, spectacular 10 to 15 minute sequence.
I feel like this is a 10 to 15 minute long sequence. This is a big chunk of movie here.
I don't know if it is. I think it's pretty. I don't think it's as long as it should be.
Okay, well, look, maybe I experienced some kind of time dilation thing due to the state of pure joy that I'm in when that music starts playing and he starts using guns again.
I'm just jealous. I wanna experience that time dilation.
I want you to be able to experience the youthful joy that I have for things. I really do. I wish that I could give this to you.
How do they take down Christopher Walken after he punches his way through buildings? How does he end this thing?
There's a bunch of punching and shooting, and then Christopher Walken is watching all of his dudes get their shit rocked, and he's like, you know what? I think I can solve this. And so he grabs his special chromed out gun. I was so excited that not only is Christopher Walken the bad guy, but he has a very special, fancy looking gun. I love it.
He doesn't use it throughout the whole film.
I love it when the bad guy has a really fancy looking gun. That's so cool. Guys, we've been watching like a lot of movies that were just not action movies lately. We watched Wicker Park, and he's just not that into you, and effing Road to Wellville. It's just great to have a movie where the bad guy has a cool gun. You know what I'm saying?
Would you rather have Dr. Kellogg have a chromed out gun in that movie?
Honestly, would be more interesting. It's and you know what? Am I gonna make a joke about how his shits are so solid he can use them as bullets? I guess I just did. Walken comes out with his special gun. The Rock shoots him, or shoots the gun out of his hand, and we get a great Christopher Walken. Wow! And
he sounded like he got electrocuted.
I'm at Dr. Kellogg's clinic. I had my dick and balls in that electric water. But he gets shot, and The Rock tells him once again, look, option A is still on the table. You can you can still go home. And at this point, Rosario Dawson is there, and all of the rebels and the villagers have now armed themselves and are surrounding him. And Walken goes on this awesome, pretty racist rant about how he says, I'm the heart in the darkness. You can't run this thing without me. I'm pumping blood of the modern world into your backwoods veins, you stinking ingrate Oompa Loompa morons. The line he had to watch Charlie and the Chocolate Factory to deliver. And then they shoot him again, and then he's like, oh, okay, you know what? Actually, I will take option A. Thank you. Move aside, please. And he starts trying to walk out of town, and he falls over dead. Cool. It's awesome. Fuck you. And then Sean William Scott has not run away. He has stood his ground, and you think that, oh, The Rock is going to let him skate, but nope, he puts the cuffs on him and takes him back to America, and takes him to his dad and walks him through the door and gets his money from his dad, and Sean William Scott's dad is like, gonna do something bad to him, I guess.
Again, he's the guy who, like, he's the head honcho, right? We don't want to lose sight of the fact.
Yeah, his dad is this crime lord, and I guess it's that he fucked the wrong guy's wife, and now Sean William Scott's dad is going to hand him over to that guy for punishment or something. But then before he leaves, The Rock is like, hey, it's a ceremony I learned down in Brazil where, you eat this fruit, and he pulls out the big goofy fruits that Rosario Dawson gave them, and because he's such a good cook, the crime lord guy is like, yeah, let's eat the fruit, fine, whatever. So he and his goons eat the fruit, and they start freaking out because The Rock and Sean William Scott look all weird, and then they leave together while those guys all get knocked out, and Sean William Scott tells The Rock that he loves him. Betrayal. It's
a betrayal of trust. Someone believes in your talent, and you're gonna drug them just to stick it to them.
You know
what is The Rock? What's The Rock's long game there? Like, he's gonna fuck over a crime lord who gave him money to open a restaurant. Like, that crime lord isn't gonna just retaliate. That restaurant is not opening, let me tell you that. Unless he goes back to Brazil and opens one down there.
I mean, he knows a pretty lady in Brazil who has a little town.
Who already owns one.
Yeah, I know.
He already owns a restaurant.
So you've got a business partner, you've got a location. The Bear season 5. What if a handsome, muscly dude who Truman likes a lot for some reason opens a restaurant? It's an impossible to resist formula.
But it's set back in 2003 so that we get digitally de-aged The Rock.
It's not young Rock, it's younger Rock.
Yeah.
Remember we all really thought he was going to run for president? Like, that actually seemed like a plausible thing like 10 years ago.
Not me.
No. Well,
that wasn't me.
Yeah,
I wasn't in that.
Well, politics watcher Truman sure thought so. I mean, also, I could be forgiven. I mean, he did make a TV show where the premise is that he's running for president.
Is that room for forgiveness? I'm not sure, but I'm not going to dwell on it. Let's keep going. We kind of get this last comedic beat where you think that the beef is still between Sean William Scott and The Rock, and Sean William Scott just kind of goes, he brings back the iconic lightning and thunder where he's, kind of waving his feet around as if he's going to kick him in the face, and The Rock is like, we're going to fucking do this again. It's not going to happen because, The Rock is capable of taking anybody down at any time. But Sean William Scott's like, just kidding. We're having fun. I almost got you. I'm going to get in the car now. And the adventures of Travis and Beck continue.
Smash cut to credits, smash cut to a rap song about what happened in the movie. I don't know, man. I don't know what to tell you. I watch so many movies for this show where I start out with high hopes and I'm enjoying the first 20 to 30 minutes, and then we get into Act 2, and it's like, fuck, I'm bored. Now I have to talk on the podcast about how, the movie got worse in the second act. I used to write screenplays. I have really good opinions. And to watch a movie like this one, where I'm just entertained and enjoying myself and seeing new and interesting stuff the whole time, and then it's just like, a dumb little joke, smash cut to credits. Peter Berg directed this shit, motherfuckers. I love it. Like, I don't know. More of it, please.
I love that for you. I wish I had more of that in my life. And maybe that's just not where I'm at right now. I have nothing against big, dumb action films. Like, some of them from the 80s and 90s are my favorites. But this just didn't... I didn't vibe with this. And, that's on me and potentially the movie and the, creative talent behind it. But that's just didn't happen for me.
Look, I'm certainly in the minority for having a very strong reaction. Like, my reaction to this movie is exactly what a lot of executives and Vince McMahon wanted, was for non-wrestling fans to be like, oh, professional wrestler The Rock, I like him, and I will see him in more movies.
Okay, the next question in their head, though, is will that translate to you watching wrestling?
Oh, heavens, no. No, sorry. Not unless it's with my good friends Mike and Bo at the Tope Suicida podcast, where like once a year I go on their show and they show me a wrestling match and they're like, "Are you into this yet?" And I'm like, "I like hanging out with you."
Okay, so just to really do the math for these executives, for you, the person who liked this movie, the the marketing material plus a message on one of the bulletin boards you were on was enough to not get you to spend money to see it. Then you like it, but it wasn't something that you liked enough to then translate to watching wrestling and continuing to get your money out of you.
I mean, that's all correct, but I will say I spent like $3 to watch this on Amazon. So you got $3.
Okay, all right.
With inflation?
See, okay, well, and you also had $3 invested in this movie, whereas I got it from the library and had to watch it in lower resolution because it was on DVD rather than Blu-ray. And maybe I was a little resentful for that.
Yeah, well, you know, I am looking to see when Criterion is going to drop their 4K release of the rundown. It looks that might be for next year. Yeah, put me in the Criterion closet so I can just spend the whole video bitching at them for not having the rundown.
If you were in the Criterion closet, you would only pull out The Rock.
Yeah.
Ironically.
And they have Armageddon as well. And don't think I wouldn't take an opportunity to talk about Barry Lyndon.
Oh, that's fair.
They talked a lot, and by they, I mean director Peter Berg has talked so much over the past 20 years about doing a sequel to this movie. And there's so much Wikipedia column inches dedicated to, sequel, is he going to do it? In a press tour for Lone Survivor, he said, we just have to get Jonah Hill to join the cast, and we're going to try and get Kevin Hart to be in it. No, The Rock isn't sure about this draft. I would do anything in the world to stop a sequel to this movie from happening. It's not
interesting.
I don't want to see modern Rock in this. I don't want to see the direct to streaming version of this. No. Keep it pure, keep it beautiful.
On that we can agree.
There we go.
And I don't even mean that in a cynical way. Like, this is a time and place movie. Like, it's not that I begrudge the Rock's success or anything he wants to do. Just like, why do we need to turn it into something else? Like, let this be the thing it was at the time it was.
Yeah. I like it as a time capsule. I like it as a time capsule. I think that's a big part of it.
I want to go to time camp. Why do you think this movie was forgotten?
My original response was because humanity is cruel and undeserving of God's love. We are a barbaric people.
Well, that is true.
Deserve everything that happens to us from here on. I think that the real reason, look, I've been very up on this movie. It is a middle-of-the-road action movie, and I just have been pre-gaming it with a lot of real gutter trash action movies. I think that part of why this movie was forgotten was because in 2003, we were coming off a run of fairly good action comedies, and that probably overshadowed this one. If you've gone to the theater like 6 years before this and seen True Lies or something...
Rush Hour.
Exactly.
Shanghai Noon. Popular ones.
Yeah. Like,
right.
I don't know. There's just I feel like the market for action comedies was bigger at the time. There were more notable ones, more bigger ones out there that I think kind of overshadowed this. But that being said, I'm surprised. Like most movies that we do that are forgotten, I'm like, well, I understand why they were forgotten. This is hard to market, whatever. I genuinely don't understand why this was forgotten, given how much effort they put behind marketing, how bankable of a star The Rock is and went on to be. I don't get it. America, what's wrong with you?
I'm gonna pull out an argument I made last season about George Clooney.
Oh.
Not about his directing or him being in jail, but about superstar syndrome. Because when you think of the Rock movies, like, the A-list blockbuster, that's a classic movie. What movies do you think of?
Like classic rock joints.
Yeah. Like, The Rock is the lead in this action film, and it is now a classic.
Well, I mean, I am really big on the Jumanji movie, which I believe is also subtitled Welcome to the Jungle.
It is.
So you got that. He is either Hobbs or Shaw.
That's correct, yes.
Man, there's a lot of... He was in Skyscraper and he was in Rampage, and I don't think either of those.
Would you call those classics?
No, I'm
just things you can remember.
I'm saying the names of the Rock movies. One moment, hold please.
Well, that's. I mean, you're proving my point. You don't need to look it up.
Hold please.
The point is, like, the bulk of his career is superstar syndrome. You're doing image management.
Sure.
You're doing films to stay in the collective consciousness, not necessarily to make classic films or, even landing on a classic film as a byproduct. Yes, he's in the Fast franchise, and you can argue that all you want to. I'm not going to argue against you, but, like, do you look at those as classic films, or do you look at that franchise as super popular?
Yeah.
When you look at the films of this time that he was doing, and I'm calling out the machine here so that maybe it won't send us these films.
Wow.
Right after this film, he does Walking Tall, followed by Be Cool, then Doom, then Southland Tales, then Gridiron Gang. He also did another one in there, a little bit later. He was in the Get Smart movie, The Other Guys, which you like.
Yeah.
Then he does Faster. He does Snitch. He's in one of the G.I. Joe movies. Like, he's just doing a lot of big things that penetrate the kind of the collective consciousness when they are released, and the kind of amp up to the release. But the movies themselves, the products themselves, are almost a byproduct to, let's just saturate people's minds with the fact that The Rock is a movie star. However his film does is completely irrelevant so long as you will go to see his film on opening day.
He was the star in 5 different movies released in 2013, which is yikes. Yeah. One of which is a direct-to-video movie, but yeah. and then he headlined 4 movies in 2015, 4 movies in 2017, like 4 movies in 2019. I mean, no wonder the guy got weird and now pisses in bottles on set. I mean, this is like, that kind of exposure will melt your brain eventually.
Yeah. My whole point is, like, The Rock himself has overshadowed his own career. And, like, outside of those big franchise things that people, every time a new one is released, they go back and rewatch every single Fast movie.
Do people do that?
People do that with every movie that's a sequel, or that's why there's so many IPs that are so popular. It's just like, oh, you know what, the new Mission Impossible is coming out, let's everyone who's interested in movies go and rewatch every single Mission Impossible movie before it comes out. That's just what happens. So I think, yeah, the fact that The Rundown is so early in his career, and even though it's pivotal to making him a star, who's going back to rewatch The Rundown when you have it's not real classic The Rock yet,
I think, again, for me, looking at this is like awakening kind of my love for classic The Rock and being like, oh, I remember why we all got so hyped up on this guy, because he was doing this shit. And by we all, I mean me, I guess. And I didn't go see Walking Tall or Doom, so what's my problem? I guess it really didn't work on me.
Are you going to go watch, to quote Christopher Walken, are you going to go watch The Tooth Fairy?
No. I think, I don't know. I think I might watch some YouTube clips from Be Cool and call it a night.
All right, well, boy oh boy, in the most predictable verdict ever, should we send this back to modern memory or leave this floating out here around 2003?
Well, the first one of the season, I want to send this back to modern memory. I think everybody should remember it. I think that if you are at home in the afternoon, if you've got a cold or something and you're just trying to, you just need to put something on TV, honestly, if you need a second screen experience, put this on or pay full attention to it. Either or. It works either way. It doesn't demand much of you. It's a good time.
Yeah.
Don't listen to my co-host, who is extremely knowledgeable and who I trust and respect deeply. What about you, Landon?
Yeah, I don't think there's any real reason to remember this, but I wouldn't begrudge anyone watching it. You know, I think, in fact, I would even say if you like The Rock, and instead of watching, you know, the Fast movies again or Hobbs and Shaw, you know, give some of his early work a try. You know, when's the last time you've watched The Rundown? Have you even seen The Rundown? If that's the case, give it a shot. But I think in the grand scheme of things, I don't see any reason to bring this back to modern memory.
Well, a split decision, like so many that we have. Less and less agreement.
But we're on opposite sides this time.
Yeah.
Oh, how the turntables have turned. And a microphone.
I didn't
get crazy with a cheese whiz.
Chemtrails. Teenaged wastebasket. Up all night.
We're just free associating now.
It's about that time in
guess,
the podcast when we start sucking. So yeah, let's end it.
All right. I guess that's it for this. We'll see you next week for the mini transmission. For Truman Caps, I have been Landon Solano.
And for Landon Solano, I've been Truman Caps. Always pick option A.
Whoa!
Movie Memory Machine is part of the Gruntwork Podcast Network. Join our Patreon at patreon.com/gruntworkpod to keep the machine running. Theme song by Porky's Groove Machine. Rate us on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen.